insurance. Call 904-777-IHRS. IHRS has been restoring hair for over 30 years. The staff at IHRS knows what it's like to lose their hair, and that's why they're ready to help you grow your hair back.
Schedule your free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
What grows faster, your fingernails or your toenails? The answer next.
We all know that saving money on items like homeowners insurance can be done. Ask your agent about the new Southern Oak Insurance deductible options. It'll save money for you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Your fingernails grow faster than your toenails because they're closer to your heart and receive more blood.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. This update brought to you by Southern Oak Insurance. Former Gators head coach Dan Mullen was a guest of the Saturday Down South podcast. Had some things to say about the UF facilities and his time at Florida.
The thing, I guess, in Florida is I also knew what I was walking into, that they were 20 years behind in college football, in everything. They were just behind. So you could compete to win, but it was going to take a couple years to get the program to championship level because you have no facilities. You have nothing to recruit to. In today's college football that kids are interested in.
Former Gators head coach Dan Mullen with Connor O'Gara, the Saturday Down South podcast. He will join XL Primetime, Connor O'Gara, at 1 o'clock. 91 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Attention.
They are not ready for prime time.
Prime time.
Prime time.
Prime time. That's the name.
Prime time.
Prime time.
What time is it?
Showtime. Prime time.
It's XL Prime Time. Featuring Joe C.
Dang it!
Matt Hayes.
I'm not running over the Barnett Tower and heaving myself off.
Mia O'Brien.
One of those bugs just flew in my mouth.
And Leon Searcy.
Keep everything above the way.
How you like me now?
That's what it was today, and it's going to stay that way. But hopefully, a little hydration, a little shade. You guys take care of yourself, you ladies, whoever's out there beating the streets and making stuff happen on a Wednesday. Make sure you hydrate. Welcome to the noon hour XL Primetime. We are all ready to crank it out today. Practice with the Jaguars today as they get ready for that preseason opener against the Dallas Cowboys. You'll be able to hear it all right here on the Superstation. It's coming up Saturday with a 5 o'clock kick. I wonder how hot it's going to be in Dallas. What will that be, 4 o'clock Central Time?
They're experiencing this heat wave, too.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
And the beauty, by the way, a round of applause for the Miller Electric Center and the fans, both the actual fans and the overhead fans.
Oh, yeah.
They had to cancel the last open practice for New Orleans Saints fans just because they have to practice inside and there's no seating for fans because that's how hot it is right now in the Southeast.
Yeah, it's a wave of heat.
I mean, what do you think when they say keep farm animals and pets inside?
Yeah,
what does that mean
exactly.
for humans?
Right.
Yeah. And some humans already keep farm animals inside, okay? That's also a fact.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but
depends on where you live.
but most of them, yeah, you're right. Make sure you take care of them. Little Frank, the tongue's hanging out a little bit more because he takes that walk. It is hot, that's for sure. But we will go over practice today, look around. We got all the other NFL training camps. Hard Knocks last night, Leon, which you will jump in on.
Oh, yeah. Everybody loves Aaron. Yeah. That's what I saw that.
That's what Demetrius Harvey told me of the Florida
It
Times
was a
Union.
love fest.
He said it was nothing but Aaron because he also watched what I watched, and I know Dan Hicken was talking about this morning on The Drill, the Johnny Manziel Untold documentary.
No, Matt Hayes was telling me about that in the production meeting.
That's what I watched
that. That's
last
what I
night.
should have watched.
Should have. It was good stuff.
It was really good. Really good.
So he was candid.
Johnny was very candid.
Okay.
He was. I wish they would have talked to more people. I don't think they talked to enough people, but he was very candid in how he blew it and how, it's so weird to get the final background of it and see what it was all.
right,
he
so give us-
never
just give us a little
never
detail.
watched film. Never watched film.
Worse than Kyler Murray.
I don't doubt it.
Like, no, I don't mean
That
not.
is kinda
I mean
funny how
college,
those two are
NFL,
together.
everywhere. Never watched film.
Yeah, like when I say I don't doubt it, I mean in the college level. In the NFL, I'm very, very surprised.
There's one point in the NFL where his agent gets a call and they say, and the GM tells his agent, he doesn't watch film. And his agent says, come on, he has to watch some film. He said his iPad says 0.0 hours.
Wow.
Because they check your iPad.
Oh, that's crazy.
0.0 hours. And then they go flash to Johnny real quick, and he holds up a 0, and he goes, 0.
Now, Matt, you'll be surprised. There's a lot of NFL players out there that don't really watch film.
But not quarterbacks.
Not quarterbacks, no. But a lot of guys says if my game is good, it doesn't matter how good you play because I'm on point. I ain't gonna say no names, but I played with guys like that who didn't watch a lot of film. They figured if their game was on tight, it was on Front Street, that didn't matter who I played against. I was gonna win.
Yeah, but didn't you become so much better by finding out what other people
absolutely. That was the key. But I was taught earlier about that. I was taught by a veteran. That's another thing that I saw key about the Hard Knocks, the facts that this relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson. I actually felt sorry for Zach Wilson in that thing for some reason.
Really?
For foreseeable reason.
Is he watching film? Is he being diligent?
I just see this connection between Wally Ovett and a young phenom that that kind of
that isn't a phenom.
Well, he's not a phenom. Well, you're the second pick overall. I mean, you were projected to be a phenom, whether you lived up to the bill or not. But I just saw that relationship and I was like, oh man. I'm in my feelings with Zach Wilson.
But it was all about Aaron though. When I go home to watch Hard Knocks episode 1.
It was all about Aaron, absolutely.
Yeah, all they needed to do is say Ron. Those are the 3 people we're focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
No one else, because I know they've got Sauce Gardner and a few other ones. Gibby pulled a soundbite on Sauce because there are other storylines, but we all know the only reason they're there. Yeah. And by the way. Is Hard Knocks losing it just a little bit because of the access that all the other teams are giving us, like The Hunt here in Jacksonville? There's so many more good stories that are being told for the fans.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the Hard Knocks watching it last night. Matter of fact, I tried to steer clear because I was actually on Hard Knocks with the Ravens the year they came off to the Super Bowl. So I was on that Hard Knocks, whatever, and the cameras everywhere. And listen, when I got hurt, I tried every chance I could to avoid every situation as far as the camera was, because I wasn't feeling it. But the cast of characters that we had at that particular time, the Ray Lewis's, the Tony Saragusa's, God, bless the dead, and then the Shannon Sharps. I mean, those guys right there were amusement parks to Hard Knock when I was there.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Soundbite heaven, because at that point, there wasn't the access that we have now. But it's still good, like you said. And I didn't watch last night, but I plan on watching it. And then give me a little more Manziel, too, Maddie. We'll do that a little bit later on when we talk about that one as well, because, you can take Johnny Manziel, Maurice Clarett. Let's use Le'Veon Bell on the NFL level. A handful of these guys, they always learn the lessons after when it's too late. They learn the lessons afterwards. I should have stayed where I was. I should have worked harder. Should have appreciated the moment. All those things.
Yeah, I mean, they don't learn it, unfortunately, until the train derails. While you're on the track, while you're on the fast pace of the NFL, you're speeding along, you're going along, everything's good. Where you never think that this trip is going to end, and then all of a sudden it derails, and all of a sudden you look back and say, the last thing you want is to have regrets. And a lot of those guys that that came and went in the NFL, and they look back and say, man, if I had just done this right, or if I had just done that. Right. I could have still been in the league.
But
because, all the guys that we're talking about, they had talent. They just didn't have the whereabouts to know when to jump, to stay in the shallow end of the pool and not go in the deep end.
I think that's the thing with Johnny Manziel, though, and not to spoil it, but he admits Johnny Football and Johnny Manziel, 2 very different people. And that is wherein lies his struggles once he got to the National Football League, because he couldn't just rely on backyard football. And what I think is interesting, Leon, and Matt can speak to this too, they don't go into much detail about what he's doing currently outside of we see him at his house in Scottsdale with all his buddies. That is clearly Johnny Manziel. Johnny Football is dead for all intents and purposes.
Well, I think he didn't have success in the NFL. I don't know if it was so much about watching tape, which clearly is a big deal, as it was he was an addict. Literally a full-blown addict, and didn't want to play football anymore. He got drafted, and within a month realized, I don't want to play football anymore. Who cares? And he didn't care. All he was going to do was blow through a signing bonus, and that's it. Right. He was going to get cut, and he didn't care.
Addicted to
everything.
Yeah.
Alcohol, drugs,
fame.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. He was completely – at one point he said he thought about killing himself, bought the gun, everything.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the difference. Well, I talked about this a lot. There's a lot of players who love the game of football and then love the shiny things that come along with football. And that's the difference. The ones that love football, they study the film. They make the sacrifice. They're in this for the long run. The guys that are in for the shiny things, they want the cars, the clothes, the women, their attention, and all that kind of stuff. And that stuff fades away. But, I mean, but Johnny Football and Johnny Manziel, I mean, to be quite honest with you, I mean, every player has an alter ego. You have to. I'm Leon Searcy, but when I was on the field, you know, I had various amounts of nicknames: Big Search, Big Baby, Godzilla. You know, I was called all those different things that I perpetuated when I went on the field because I needed that energy to kind of make myself feel invincible. Right. But the problem is a lot of these players, you know, when they use that alter ego, they carry it on into the, you know, off the field stuff, and then they become the whoever they are on the field.
Well, that's the best part is there's two massive myths, as it turns out, about Johnny Manziel. And not to spoil it, but the boys on The Drill also said this. The two big myths that were debunked in this documentary that relate right to what Leon just said is Uncle Nate. That was his name, right? Uncle Nate. His friend, or his uncle, excuse me, that was handling all the money. Yeah, that was one of his buddies from growing up. One of his best friends from middle school, who was actually overseeing all the money transaction. And
That's
then
when they would go to the hotel, sign the cards.
Right, and then they were putting it in an account that his grandfather was overseeing, so it didn't look like Johnny had all this money.
No, he actually. This is what they did. Johnny took the $30,000 and called his grandpa and he said, "Hey, Grandpa, I got $30,000. Can I give it to you and you write me a check?" He was washing the money is what he was doing.
It's beautiful.
He got the
NCAA. I got to launder this money. All right, I'm going to call Gramps.
Yeah, so the NCAA, you know, he got the half-game suspension, right? He said, we went right back to doing it.
Yeah.
And then we were told that the family was rich in oil money. They have no relation to the oil industry.
They that
was completely
made up
up
stories so the NCAA would believe that he didn't need the money because his family was rich and they were in the oil business. Yeah. And they go to his dad and his dad says, never been in the oil.
That's just beautiful. And by the way, going back in time, Buckley, my buddy from Palm Beach Autographs, he said you go online and you can see all these sequential numbered things that he had signed, and there was no question he was getting paid cash. Jameis and some of these other guys were definitely doing
He wasn't
that.
the only one getting, getting cash.
No
for
way.
Stuff.
That was, of course, pre-NIL and all that kind of stuff. All right, Golf Club of Southampton bringing you today's show. You can enjoy all this chatter on the golf course later today. Bring your buds out. Talk some ball. Golf your ball. Come on out. Now, they punched, but they want to make sure that they keep this golf course going and growing the way that they want. But you can head on out and enjoy a little 9 after 5. 287 play is the number to the pro shop, and you can come on out and enjoy a 9-hole game, a little food afterwards, surprises, always a great time. Even with the punch, you could still go out there and have a good time. All right, so we're going to stay in college football, and then we'll get to the Jaguars, some of the stuff that we got out of training camp today as they start to get ready to head on to Dallas. But just listen to this one soundbite from Dan Mullen that Gibby played in his update. And we're going to have Conor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, top of the 1 o'clock hour. He's the one who sat down with Mullen. And Mullen, I'm telling you, he's a master at telling the story the way he feels the story should be told. There's a lot of truth in a lot of things he says, but there's also some BS that's stitched in some stuff that he says. So listen to this. And because what was the label, Matt? The label was he didn't enjoy recruiting. He didn't like getting on the recruiting
All you got to
trail.
do is look at his history at recruiting. That's all.
He just did not enjoy it. And I think enjoy is the right way. In other words, I just don't dig it. It's not my thing. Even though he's a good X and O coach, he just did not
He's an introvert. That's number one. So he's not a guy that is set up to recruit.
I also think he doesn't like kissing fannies.
That too, yeah. That too.
And telling every player what they want to hear and how great they are.
Not unlike Spurrier, really, when you think about it.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But the game of recruiting is so much more a profession now versus then.
Right.
You get kids that in your state wanted to stay in their state back then. But listen to this, and he talks about the facilities at Florida, and he just does a rail job on Scott Strickland and the university.
The thing, I guess, in Florida is I also knew what I was walking into, that they were 20 years behind in college football. in everything. They were just behind. So you could compete to win, but it was going to take a couple years to get the program to championship level because you have no facilities. You have nothing to recruit to. In today's college football that kids are interested in.
Okay, so listen, I couldn't help but laugh.
No facilities.
Yeah, I couldn't help but laugh. Leon goes,
20 years.
And I said to Matt, oh, wait a minute. Let's not forget.
So they had
Danny.
an indoor.
No, let's not forget, Danny, that in those 20 years, they had 2 natties.
They had an indoor. They just completed the indoor. McElwain got on the indoor.
Yeah.
So to be fair, they had the indoor. But also,
the indoor.
To be fair, okay, he had way better facilities at Mississippi State than he had at Florida. And I mean way better. They had a football-only facility at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
That Scott Strickland did all of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's making a point. I don't think there's any question. He's right in that point. Now, they had the indoor, which is a big deal, obviously. But they had just gotten, I think it probably was, 2 years old? Maybe 3 years old?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's making a point. Look, I used to have this argument with Jeremy Foley all the time, that facilities are more important than anyone thinks. And he would always say, did Spurrier need facilities to win all those SECs? Did Urban need facilities? And
I totally get it.
So he has a point, right?
Right.
But it changes now. And players now like to walk in and see these grand facilities. They like to walk in and see the lazy rivers. They like to walk in and see the slide at Clemson. They like to walk in and see the barbershops. They like to walk in and see all the NFL helmets on the walls. And it's different now. It's a different player. You've got to cater. You got to kiss a little ass with these players now. I can still remember going in when Texas A&M put that $700 million in the stadium. Their weight room, those guys would go into this gigantic weight room, the players would, and they'd all have a card. They'd go up to each spot in the weight room, each place where you work out, and they'd put their tag up on this little computer screen, and immediately, boom, up came their face and their workout regime.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was in what year? What year
that
was
that? 2015?
In 2015, that is like unreal technology.
State of the art.
Right.
Yeah.
State of the art.
And like I said.
Did they do their reps too?
Yeah, everything. Everything. It said you got, 3 sets of this. Yeah,
and
everything.
So instead of you walk in with your pad and you got to write down, all right, I did this today. It's all right there.
No, it's what they click it,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. It's all right.
It's all there, right? And if they don't do that,
right.
Like the machines are all there. If they don't do it, then the coach knows they didn't do it.
It was a weight room GPS and that's basically what it is. Keeping track of everything you were doing. But back to the idea that Mullen has truth and BS laced in the same sentence, because that's what he does. And so there's no question that Florida took things for granted. Because, after all, it's Florida. And like Jeremy said, he was the athletics director, and he needed to make sure that he paid attention to all the sports. And so he basically recruited, is the word I'm using, off of the successful sports to go get the other sports rolling. In other words, get the best coaches and all that kind of stuff. And then he would get facilities improved on those fronts, but not ignoring the big boy, but basically saying it's done, it's built, and we're recruiting off of that. Well, Mullen still, I believe, used it as an excuse as well to not have to recruit. But it's a hell of a thing when Mississippi State has better facilities than
not only Mississippi State, literally everyone in the SEC other than Vanderbilt had better facilities than them.
That's crazy to think.
And it's not just, here's another thing too. Florida is not unique in this.
Right.
Florida State, Miami also. They didn't catch up with we should get a standalone football building until everybody had done it. Mm-hmm. So it was really the entire state of Florida, which 20 years earlier ruled college football.
Right.
And now they don't. See, they used to always think, this is players. Players win games, and they do win games, but you got to get them now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why Ohio State comes in and gets these elite players, and Alabama comes into the state, and Michigan comes in the state, and Georgia comes in the state, and they get these elite players. So you've got to sell it now.
So, Leon, honestly, on the heels of what Matt said, it is, I think, doubly hard, triple hard, whatever you want to say, for Mario to do what he needs to do down there. Doesn't have a stadium. They do have some improving facilities. But like Matt said, and we all say, back in the day, you just had guys show up that wanted to play and wear the U.
Yeah, but Miami can't live on their past loins anymore. Yeah. That's over. It's been over 2.5 decades since Miami has been relevant. So, we do. And the notion with Miami at some particular time when I was there is that we didn't have facilities. We had a little shack that we called a weight room, but in that shack came Michael and Cortez and Russell, and me and Ray and Sapp and all that other kind of stuff. that was those players then. These players are different. You got to treat them accordingly. I don't care how much you say you want to be old school, but these players they don't relate to old school. They weren't born. Half their parents weren't even around, or they were kids. So you got to relate to these kids. These kids want to see facilities.
Mm-hmm.
They want to win, and they want to be catered to. And trust me, I coached at FIU for 4 years. I hated kissing fannies. I hated kissing kids behinds. I mean, I tried to be as straight up as I could with them or whatever, but me kissing their butt, I understand Dan Mullen in that aspect. I hated recruiting that way, and I hated lying to kids. I hated the line because we FIU. Listen, our office.
Had to promise some facilities.
I had to promise facilities that never came because listen, our office was a double wide trailer on cinder blocks. That was our office, and dogs used to mate underneath our. That's where our office was.
The last time the Canes won a national title, the last time the Canes won a conference title, the recruits this year weren't even born.
Yeah.
The last time Florida.
Saucy Nug right there.
The last time Florida won an SEC, which was also a national title, was 16 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Recruits now are 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know these programs.
They don't.
So the only way you sell that is by what you have.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, too, and I brought this up on Helmets and Heels last night. Let's take it beyond the SEC and take it to Florida State, another program that even after building facilities now says they need to improve upon them because they were rushed and they weren't as good as they were. The reality is, we'll take it not just Florida State, but Notre Dame. But I bring it up because Florida State, this notion of potentially going independent. Look at Notre Dame. The reason Notre Dame was able to succeed as an independent for the past 50-plus years is because for so long they were the only show in town that was nationally televised. Everybody is nationally televised now. So how are you going to separate yourself? The facilities is the logical answer. And so for Florida State, a program that, if there's any sort of notion of, well, maybe we go independent and we be our own brand, if you don't have the facilities, then you have no chance, let alone the media rights issues.
Here's one more real quick from Mullen about the facilities.
Have you ever been to Florida? Like they were just behind, it was kind of like, hey, Coach Spurrier didn't need this in the 90s. Why does anybody today need it? And I said, well, the football's changed.
That's
Honestly,
exactly what that was the prevailing wisdom there.
And you were doing a nationwide recruiting job as opposed to a statewide recruiting job. You have to go and find them, and you have to attract them to your school. And you do that by winning on the field, and then by when they roll up, they see what they want to see.
I don't think football has changed. I think the
has
mannerism and the mentality of these players have changed.
The player has changed.
Yes,
Football,
absolutely.
The game,
it's the game.
It's still it's blocking, tackling, and finding an advantage is all it is.
Yeah, it's the kids that's changed.
Yeah, it's the idea of how social media, the immediacy of these kids seeing gratification of what they think, what they wear, what they say. It's changed everything.
Yeah,
and I'm not standing on my porch screaming. I'm just telling you it's reality. It's what it is.
I mean, listen, there was nothing. And listen, I'm glad that we got a famous guy like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. At University of Miami, he put $1 million into the. And I saw the kids going in the locker room showing that this and that. And nothing disgusts me more than this because they had. I know I feel like the old guy, but they had did anything. They didn't do anything to deserve that, but. The Rock put the money into it. It was wonderful. The locker room looked amazing, all that. And they were talking about this and that. But now you got all the shiny stuff. I mean, is it going to equate to wins?
Yeah, and
that's what I care about.
It still comes down to players and coach, okay? Because Jimbo Fisher has gotten all the facilities he wants. He's gotten all the recruits he wants. But you take a look, and we started this conversation yesterday. We might get back into it. College football's biggest underachievers. And they were top 5 coming out of the pandemic when it was an SEC-only schedule. And it looked like they were ready to take off. And they haven't done squat since then. And I'll throw their record out coming up in just a little bit. But and so you still have to have the guy that can create the drive and determination.
You do,
Kirby
but
Smart, Nick Saban, those guys.
Let's also be intellectually honest here. Had Spurrier said, but when he was thinking about leaving, in 01, he eventually left, had he said, look, I want a football-only facility, I want a new weight room. You know what Jeremy would have said? Okay. Yeah. If that's going to keep you here, okay.
Yeah, because
But he never did because he didn't think he needed it.
Yeah.
All he needed was his quarterback and his receivers, and away we go.
Yeah, honestly, and I do think that's where we are at, and it's a totally different deal right now. What attracts them, and it's a kid, a DJ Lagway, far from Florida, that is trying to recruit other kids to come to Florida because he's fallen in love with it and he wants to be there. And give Billy Napier credit for that. But they still have got to be able to produce winners on Saturdays. All right, let's just hit real quick training camp. Just some thoughts coming out of there. Getting Campbell back out there, a couple of other important pieces that took place today. I still see, and I'm repeating myself, but I feel like it's very important, I still see a lot of depth players, meaning they're not starters, that are making plays in training camp with starters, okay, which means Doug and Press Taylor and you can go to Caldwell on defense. They are not afraid to keep subbing guys in to get them as many good reps as they possibly can. And they look good again today.
Right, and it's about competition. It's about what I've said the last few days about that bottom third of the roster that has been a turnstile the last 5 to 10 years, quite frankly, because it was constant turnover. Now you have guys like a fourth-year player in Chris Claybrooks or a Daniel Thomas who recognize, there's a fire lit under their butt.
Right, they're gonna lose a spot.
They have to fight for their position. It's not a guarantee that just because you were drafted by this team that you will hold a position. Heck, and then on the flip side of that, I saw during the one-on-ones of the offensive and defensive line, Raymond Vohasek, once again, beats Luke Fortner.
Yeah.
Beats Blake Hans. This is a seventh-round pick out of UNC who was a JUCO guy 2 years ago.
He's a nailed-to-the-ground guy, too. He ain't big. He's not like the tallest guy. He's strong.
Right. And so that's where I look at it. And if this, afterthought, despite being a draft pick, is battling like that, you better bet your tail. If you're one of these third or fourth year guys, your roster spot is not guaranteed.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You had a conversation with Cooper Hodges, which is another one of the guys that is going to be that depth being built on this roster, Baker County, so we will definitely hear from him. Another lineman that Rick Ballou was talking to, Blake Hans, he will have him on tonight, and so we'll have all sorts of things coming your way throughout the course of the day. Hayes Carlin, I know. I'm trying to remember who he was talking to, but anyway, he will have.
I know this. Hacker got Luke Farrell, so we were very excited for that as well because we really haven't heard anything out of that third year, tight end,
but it's
who
so funny
is listed as the top blocking tight end despite G Money and Brenton Strange having all eyes on them this camp.
Yeah, I still see plenty of Brenton Strange in the rota, either splitting out or in line with first team. But I did see Farrell make a catch today, which was nice to see. He needs that.
He can catch the ball.
He
He's not
that.
just a friend of the Myers.
All right, so we'll get it all going. Coming up, it is XL Primetime, thanks to the Golf Club of Southampton, 287 play. Make sure you get in touch with them and get on the tee sheet tonight.
You're riding in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios. XL Primetime on 1010XL.
You're AFC South champs, baby.
It's a new season.
I like where this team's headed.
A new era.
The players here want to win.
A new hope.
I want to win.
We're all here to win.
Guys have that feeling, the taste in their mouth.
This is where the dream begins. The Dallas Cowboys. Hear it happen Saturday at 2 on 1010XL.
Lauren Brooks here. Tired of joint pain holding you back? Try BioTarget from Injury Care Centers. This treatment will prolong the life of your joints by targeting the root of your pain and delivering more regenerative cells to the affected area, ensuring faster and more effective healing, making BioTarget the most advanced regenerative treatment. For a limited time, BioTarget starts as low as $499. Call Injury Care Centers or visit GoBioTarget.com. That's GoBioTarget.com.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Hey, this is Jason with Bueller Air Conditioning. Why do we love to go to that awesome grocery store where shopping is a pleasure? Why do we choose that amazing chicken sandwich where the service is fast and friendly and it's always their pleasure? You see, those brands are a promise. Here at Bueller Air, our team is committed to serving the customer and delivering that same kind of brand promise. Our mission is to be the most trusted brand with friendly and professional service every single time. Give us a call today or visit BuellerAir.com.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy, classic wings. Made to order, cooked to perfection, and sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. And of course, spicy Cajun fried corn. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
Get inside intel on the PGA Tour from exclusive angles and insider access on Brunch with the Tour. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A. Tuesday morning at 8:30.
Brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation and J&M Roofing on 1010XL.
Hear that? That's the sound of the grill in summertime. That is a clean grill by Grill SOS. Backyard barbecue season is here. Let the 5-star rated pros at Grill SOS deep clean your barbecue grill. Book now at grillsos.com.
Hi, this is Dave Barker with IHRS. If you're looking for a real solution to your thinning hair or hair loss, call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS.
What's causing your hair to fall out? Can your hair grow back? Get to the root of your problem with IHRS Hair and Scalp Analysis. This analysis magnifies your hair and scalp 400 times to see what procedures can restore your hair. Call right now for your free analysis, 904-777-IHRS, or visit hairforme.com. Stop wasting money on solutions that don't work. IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years. They are the only clinic to offer the trademarked multi-unit hair grafting PRP platelet-rich plasma and the NeoGraft FUE hair transplant procedure.
Schedule your free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 904-777-IHRS or visit hair4me.com. Hairforme.com.
Malfunctions in your electrical panel can lead to hazards like fire or power outages, leaving your home at risk. So leave it to the pros and Mr. Sparky.
888-8-SPARKY. Your on-time electrician, Mr. Sparky of the First Coast.
Atlantic Self Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving? They can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
The 9 after 5 rolls on at the Golf Club of Southampton, so get on the tee with me, Joe C. The XL Primetime League is in the summer stretch, and you need to be part of it. Southampton invites you to join us every Wednesday for our 9 after 5. Beat the heat and blow off a little steam with friends and family at Southampton. A great game every week, good grub afterwards, and prizes. Call 287-PLAY and get in the game every Wednesday. It's our 9 after 5 at Southampton. Call 287-PLAY.
Training camp is here, and 1010XL is there. From the practice field straight to you, nobody covers camp like 1010XL. Brought to you by Roland Leash Plumbing and Kingfish Pest Control.
This is Corona Premier. It's the light beer you didn't know was a light beer. Until right, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Now, Corona Premier, an unexpectedly light beer.
The Jacksonville Eye Center's vision is all about your vision. Vision correction for all ages. From an early age to your elder years, being able to see clearly is just a phone call away. Call 355-5555 and say hello to Dr. Robert Snipper. With the latest technology and advancements in vision care, the Jack's Eye Center can help you from top-line care, glasses, contacts, to expert LASIK procedures and cataract surgery. See what you've been missing at the Jacksonville Eye Center.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
It is officially the first Jaguars game week of the 2023 season. The Jaguars will kick off the preseason on Saturday against the Dallas Cowboys. Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson says the starters will play a series or two in the preseason opener. What does Trevor Lawrence think about preseason game one?
You just want to be clean. You want to execute. You want your offense to look sharp. You want to make the plays. You want to be smart, do all that stuff, and just be clean. I think that's the main objective. Obviously to play well too, but that's the same thing for whether it's the starters or whoever's in there, to play well and execute our offense, just like we're doing out here. Just carry that over to a different opponent and go win the game. So, however much that is, I don't know the details of that yet, but we'll be ready.
I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville.
They finally finished and moved into a facility where kids can actually visit campus, and it's not, hey, our meeting's in the basement of a locker room, and hey, what do we do post practice for, how do you do recovery for your team? There's like a trash bucket with ice in the parking lot. You know what I mean? Like they actually have a technology and stuff that that kids show up and be like, oh, this is a good place to come.
This is XL Primetime, brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
Saturday Down South's Connor O'Gara sat down with Dan Mullen, and he will join us at 1 p.m. to discuss that illuminating podcast interview with the former Gators head coach.
I've seen those buckets, by the way.
Hey, well, first of all, those buckets got me through many a two-a-days, all right, in Miami. The buckets of ice,
right,
in the garbage can outside your dorm room, outside, the facilities.
I've seen them.
That's a little old school.
And
but
he's right. They were in the parking lot.
Yeah, but still, like sometimes, like when I hear that, okay, remember I would phrase them the PGA Tour homeless. They sounded like they were just destitute, begging for food, will work, all that stuff. He makes it sound like he was coaching, how did you describe a trailer on cinder blocks?
Yeah, double-wide trailer.
I mean, compared to like Alabama and Ohio State, he was.
Anyway,
absolutely, he was.
It's just semi-confident. Like I said, there's BS and truth in everything that he says, which I love. But he was wrong.
There was the notion that Spurrier, the 90s, when Leon played at Miami, those players succeeded and won national titles in the 90s with those same means. So why can't you in 2022?
Different player.
With much less, yes.
Yeah. And evidently, according to the text line brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures, I enjoyed this one from 603. It's not just on the football field. Apparently took his daughter to go see Alabama's campus, honor society student, not a student athlete.
Right.
Alabama recruiting the heck out of her. The dorms are better. The classrooms look better. Everything is updated. Said they've been Gator fans all their life. She's probably going to Alabama.
And look, I love Florida. I love Gainesville. That's where I went, and I love going back. But I also know that it became an arms race, and it was real. And that's why you have seen other ones that have been able to step up. And Alabama was always going to be good as long as they had the right coach. Georgia finally got the right coach. We know how good they are. We know that 2 different coaches have won natties in LSU. And we might have another one. Who knows? But, yeah, you got to have coach and program match up.
Well, Joe, let me ask you this question. What kind of weight does a Florida degree have in Florida? Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But Alabama and Florida, maybe not as good.
An Alabama degree in the state of Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think not. Right.
I'm just
right.
They was taking the shot at your school. I was trying to defend you a little bit.
Yeah, well, I know. I appreciate you stepping up, but it's like Alabama coming in here and poaching all of our players.
Look,
it's the same thing.
Facilities are certainly. This is what Dan didn't say. Facilities are certainly an issue. You know what else is an issue at Florida since Herb left? They've hired the wrong coach every time.
Yeah, there was that.
That's probably a problem.
Yeah,
Miami, guess what? Hired the wrong coach every time.
Yeah, the old comedian. So
Florida State
that.
Since Jimbo hired the wrong coach.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have, and this, and I'm glad you're saying it because it means so much. Whenever I look at it, just as simple as I can look at it. Let's make this the 10-10 take, Andrew, and jump in on this, all of you.
Now, Joe C's 10-10 take. Slow smoked and served up by Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since 68.
They have simple recipes at Sonny's, right? When the pitmaster, Shannon, who you will hear on the kickoff show coming up very, very soon, covering college football with our very own Matt Hayes, that you have to stay to the recipe, right? You have to stick to the recipe because it works. You serve up great stuff every single time. Make sure you check out Sonny's all over the First Coast, especially when you are planning your fall tailgate plans. But the recipe is the recipe, okay? Don't deviate from it. And you know what it is you have to have Jimmy's and Joe's and X's and O's. You've got to have facilities. You've got to have a fan base. You've got to have a recruiting budget, and you got to have boosters that are willing to help supplement it. So you have to have all these things. But there is no mistaking that a player will follow the best coach with the best chance to play. Those will always be number one and number 1A for me. The best coach and the best chance to play. They got to marry up. And then what is next? Obviously, the facilities are next. And so it really is a lesson in you can't get comfortable with your success. You always got to be hungry, and just because you did it before doesn't mean you can do it again. And look at the fact that Clemson has been able to rise up, the fact that these other schools, when Lincoln Riley goes to Southern Cal, what happened? It was a great destination with a lot of talent, but they didn't have a very good coach. Now they got a coach. And so it all has to come together. That's the 10-10 take. And Florida's trying to do that. Florida State looks like they have done that because they now have, because of Jimbo, they have a better recruiting budget than they ever had. Remember, Matt? They would always complain about not having a recruiting budget, and they also would complain about not having enough dollars for their assistant coaches. And so that actually got stepped up a little bit thanks to Jimbo. Now Mike Norvell obviously is doing better things with it. We all know what – take a look at Kirby's recruiting budget. Take a look at what he gets to pay his assistant coaches. And so those things have to be on par for your school to get there to where those big boys are.
Kirby's budget isn't really any better than anybody else's. They have more in their budget because they don't have a private plane.
Mm-hmm.
Like Florida has a private plane.
Yeah.
So they can fly their coaches wherever they need to go on instantly. Georgia doesn't have that.
Right. That budget is a little lower because of that.
Because of that. Right. Or it's a little higher for Georgia because of that. Right. I mean, clearly you call it an arms race. It's how do I get these kids here and make them feel comfortable once they're here? Mm-hmm. Like Billy Napier, you've heard him say this over and over and over. If we can get a kid here, we've got a really good chance to keep him. Now, in years past, before that facility, I don't think that was the case.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask
But now you add a guy who's clearly a good recruiter. You add that football facility. You add the commitment to what they're doing there and the money there at that school and the great education. He's right. If they can get a guy there, they've got a good chance of getting him.
Yeah, because one of the texters says Florida needs to catch up in the recruiting budget too. And it is everything. Yeah. It's a little bit of paying your assistant coaches, paying your head coach, having your facilities, and paying your.
Well, man, let me ask you this question. I mean, usually when rising tides, usually your boat is going to rise with it. Miami, Florida, and Florida State, they saw the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Clemsons of the world, kind of rise. Why did it take them so long to get on board? Well, what the hell they've been doing for about the last 2.5 decades?
It's a great question. I mean, again, they all thought, well, we won before. Why are we not going to win now? They all thought it was just the coach. Let's just get the right coach and everything will be good. But it's gone beyond that now. And I say this, and I know people out there may not like this. I blame social media because social media and the intimacy and immediacy of these guys, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, look at me, I'm on this trip. This is what today's player is right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm not ripping it, I'm just saying you have to understand that. Right. You can't just go in there and think it's going to be like old players because they're not like old players anymore. Mm-hmm. You've got to treat them differently. They need to be, and as hard as it is for you to hear this, bro, they need their ass kissed every once in a while. And I know there are coaches. Look, Spurrier's whole thing was, I will never
kiss.
Right. Spurrier's whole thing was, I will never beg a guy to come to Florida. Right. I want a guy who wants to be a Gator. And I understand that completely, okay? And most coaches are like that. But at the end of the day, you got to beg.
Bro,
you got to beg now.
Man, I could tell the difference. I was on social media. I was on Facebook about 2 or 3 months ago. Roland Smith, who's a recruiting coordinator down in Miami, played with the University of Miami with me, was my roommate and stuff like that. He's a recruiting coordinator. So he posted a film on, it was weekend for the recruits to come down. Right. They had 12, I counted them, 12 long Cadillac Escalade trucks to pick up these kids and take them around on their recruiting visit. And I say, this is insane.
What car drove you around?
Oh, Melvin Braden drove a Civic. Okay,
How did you fit in a Civic?
What year was the Civic?
It was 1987.
But to be fair, it was Mel Braden.
It was Mel Braden. It was Mel Braden. But it couldn't have been nothing more than a Civic. I just remember I had to get in that Indian style. I mean, cross my legs and everything to get in. And I I was so big. I mean, that might be not the right thing to say. Indian
I was just going to say, bro, that might not be the correct nomenclature there, right?
Nomenclature. But I had to squeeze in there, man. And he took me around Miami. I had the greatest time of my life in that little bitty ass car. But I mean, that was my recruiting visit.
Right.
And now today I go on Facebook and I see they got super stretch Cadillac Escalades, picking
and they're
these
hanging
kids.
out the moonroof.
Oh,
and
yeah,
of
man. They
course,
have
yeah.
no. I say, this is crazy.
It's a different world.
What have
It
they
really
done to
is.
deserve that?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Now, meanwhile,
Nothing, but that's not the point.
Yeah, just to go back to my, and I'm just going to keep bashing Jimbo until Jimbo does something, okay? And I got a feeling he might have something this
he
year.
might
like
have something
we
this year
talked
for you,
about.
JoJo.
I'm just saying, I got a feeling that he might. You picked him outside the top 15. I looked at me. I wanted to pick him more.
No.
He went for
Fool
it.
me once, shame on you. Fool me twice.
Yeah. And so, but here's the number, okay? After landing in the top 5 in the pandemic, they've gone 13-11 overall and 6-10 in SEC play. Last 2 years, 6-10 in SEC play.
Is that not good?
With what was is that bad? It ain't good. And that was with the record-breaking recruiting class that he had. Okay, you better figure it out on the field on Saturday. You can bring them all in, but if you can't motivate them and master the game plan, you aren't going to get the job done. And
it's just the world we're in, and we're frustrated because there's no unification.
He got a crick in his leg, Joe.
He's got a crick in his leg.
Have you ever been to West Virginia?
Is unification a word? I don't think it is, Jimbo.
Oh, my gosh.
He's got some dudes this year, man. I'm telling you,
Look,
he does.
I got a bad feeling that
Even
he
with
is
all
gonna-
those losses in the portal,
I
he
know.
has got some dudes.
I got a bad feeling he's going to rise up, and I'm going to be wrong. But I'm telling you, he's accomplished less with more in today's college football. And by the way, he left FSU and wanted to bite off that SEC West Challenge and take on Alabama. And so far, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked.
It hasn't. It worked 1 year in the
And
COVID
he had a
year.
quarterback.
In
he had
the
a quarterback
COVID year, he
then,
had Kellen
too.
Mond
Yeah.
in his fourth season. He still really hasn't had an elite quarterback either. Kellen Mond was not an elite quarterback.
Pretty good.
I think he's got one now. I think Connor Weigman's going to be
Weigman does
a really,
look
really
good.
good player.
He does look
so
good.
if he becomes that guy, then, I mean,
you know what Jimbo
dude,
does?
I told Leon this. They've got like 11 defensive linemen they're going to run in and
Yeah,
out.
they're good.
And
You know what
they're
Jimbo
all
does?
good.
Jimbo gets in between people's ears. He gets in this
He
quarterback.
coaches them hard. That's all. There's nothing wrong with that.
But he couldn't get in the pockets of those big FSU donors,
Yeah.
right? Because
Oh,
that
'cause
was the
that's
whole
really
issue.
what he wanted.
So let's clarify for the text line, since they were wondering that, the FSU facility situation. Let's flip it on over to the ACC and that facility's current landscape.
They're almost done with their facility, right?
But they had that they have the indoor that they've been using, and they have that one outdoor practice field, but that was deemed not enough.
Right. They don't have a football-only facility like all the other major
Right.
programs. So they're spending another, I think it's like $70 million now or $80 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants the Clemson slide. Everybody wants the barbershop in the facility where you can go get your – I'm telling you, when recruits come in there, they see that barbershop, and they're like, yeah. Everybody wants to walk into the locker room, and there's the huge FSU logo on the ceiling, or
Right.
the huge Clemson paw on the ceiling, or the huge Gator logo on the ceiling. That's what players want now.
Yeah.
They want the lockers where you go to their locker, and they each have their own little
TV.
Their own little. There's TV in some of them. They have their own little locker that has a lock. You have a key for it. Nobody can get your stuff. When you take your pads off in your locker, you hang up your pads and they air out. Your helmet airs out. They all want stuff like that.
Yeah.
They all want the
Pretty,
nice
shiny,
padded
new stuff.
seats in front of their locker, and then their nameplate is not a nameplate. It's literally like a light show that says Joe Coward, wide receiver, underneath Lakeland,
fullback.
Florida.
So they like their pass for breeze after practice.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's an auto Febreze, too. It's not like
gotcha.
somebody's
Nice.
coming through the line, Leon.
What happened in the Jack's locker room, right?
Yeah, I've been in there. I mean, I
Okay,
understand.
so take the Miller Electric Performance Center.
Yeah.
Because there were people in NFL circles saying they don't have the facilities that you want. That's what they were telling free agents. That's what Keenan said about
True.
the dungeon and all that. So all these guys, we're talking high school. They go to IMG. You know, they go to the best of the best. And then from the college to the NFL ranks, Jacksonville wasn't on par with the rest of it. Now they've stepped it up big time.
I have absolutely no problem with any of that stuff if it equates to wins.
Right. It's got to add up to that.
Which, for what it's worth, there's a school in the Big Ten on the banks of Lake Michigan who have, as Matt has noted, one of the best facilities, football-only facilities in the country.
Top 5 easy.
I'm talking
Maybe
about
even top 3, actually.
I am talking about Northwestern, who had their first open practice today as we flip it on over to a different conference. These are the shirts that staff members and coaches at Northwestern practice are wearing. Cats Against the World with the number 51, which was Pat Fitzgerald, their former head coach's jersey number.
So they're standing up for him a little bit. Okay, that's
Problem
cool.
is they were 0-11 North America last year and 1-0 in Ireland.
Yeah, and
against Nebraska.
One of the guys that has a chance to win a starting job here played at Northwestern. I'm curious as to whether
That's true. We should have had Rick ask Blake Gantz about Pat Fitzgerald.
I'm curious as to whether he was hazed or whatever. But I like the fact that they're standing up for Fitzgerald because he wasn't the only one that had a lot to do with what happened. And it had been happening for a long, long time. Obviously, it stops at him, at his feet. But still, he wasn't the guy doing it, and he wasn't the only guy that knew it.
Here's the thing, though. Listen, I know at any particular time in Miami, if the hazing had gotten out of control, Jimmy would have held a team meeting and said, hey, the hazing stops now.
And everyone would have listened.
And everybody would have listened. It stops now. If you get caught hazing, you're going home. If he had said that, those players wouldn't be doing that.
Look, I love Fitz. I had a great relationship with him.
Yeah.
Still do. 17 years. In 17 years, you're going to tell me the head coach, all the assistants that went through there, all the strength training guys, all the strength training assistants, all the student managers, none of them ever said one thing to someone in charge.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
None of them ever said something to the head coach, to the AD, to an associate AD, to an AD of facilities, to an AD of game day. Not one person said anything to anybody over 17 years. I don't believe it. I just don't.
By the way, I would just suggest that this was much more.
If it was as bad as they're saying.
Right. Because I would just suggest this is much more noticeable, rampant, and obvious compared to Sandusky when you go up to Penn State.
The way they're telling it is it's just flagrant what was going on.
Yeah.
How could you not know?
And keep your clothes on, people. Keep your clothes on.
Not only that, I mean, like, yeah, God.
Well, the stuff going into the shower, I don't know, again, and I don't know Northwestern's football facility now versus what it was at this Camp Kenosha that they were having their off-site training camp at. But you're telling me no coach walks past a shower where there's a bunch of guys lined up naked, forcing other dudes to squeeze past them.
Yeah, it's just, nah. What in what
do they,
world
do
they think that that's okay?
Since we were talking,
why would a guy want to be all soaped up and want another guy to try and force his way through it?
I'm not doing it.
We're all man's men here, right?
I know we are, Hack, but I'm telling you, I'm not.
First of all, when you go in the shower, everything is above. You don't look. Everything you do is up above.
Right, the eyes never go anywhere.
Thank you. That part right there.
So let me ask you this: since we're talking about wins and losses and what teams, will Texas A&M actually have a winning record? Northwestern 1-0 in Europe, 0-11 against any other team in the United States on domestic soil. Do they win a game this year, Matt? Northwestern.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, it's gonna be really tough. They've got a decent quarterback now, but I mean, they lost two of their best players already to the portal, and my guess is that they might lose another. They might lose, a few others before camp's over. They're not that good at. First off, they're not that good as is. They were 1-11 last year for a reason.
Right. Yeah.
He had a good recruiting class, but I don't.
Yeah, they got their challenges.
It's a difficult slog for them because if they start out, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, then it starts to weigh on them. Then everything that's happening there at Northwestern. And what has happened over the last 4 months starts to weigh on.
You'll see an exodus of player and people around the program. I'm glad you mentioned A&M one more time because I'm just going to keep doing it. No national titles since 1939. No conference titles since 1998. We just mentioned the conference titles that Florida and Miami hasn't won. No conference titles since 1998. No BCS championship or CFP appearances. And no consecutive AP top 10 finishes since 1994. Awful. They hired him to do.
They've never really been like an elite program. They've just been a program with a ton of money that's underachieved forever.
Yeah, they hired him to make them relevant, and so far it has not happened. Are they the greatest underachiever? Because I'm just going off.
They may be,
and they were listed as the number one. There are plenty of other ones that you could include, and like I said, until Southern Cal got another dynamic coach in Lincoln Riley, they were right there in that basic. They were great for decades. They from the 70s
Although Pete
to
had
the
a
80s
good
to the 90s.
7-year
Pete
run,
Carroll, obviously, but from Pete Carroll until now.
But when Hackett's dad was there, it was bad.
Yeah, from Pete Carroll until now, and with apologies to Coach Campo being here tomorrow. I mean, he was there with Clay Helton, Coach Helton, and
he still won a Pac-12. Clay did.
Yeah.
That says something about the state of the Pac-12.
And they gave him a contract at the end, remember? Because they were able to win that. But it's just you got to have the guy. You got to have the dude that can lead you. As simple as that.
You also got to have money, which I wish I had money, like whoever won the Powerball,
Oh, you've not heard from him?
Mega Millions in Neptune Beach. No, here's the thing. I feel like between everybody who works at 1010XL, all of our nooners out there, someone has to know.
Oh, I was going to tell you.
Who won the $1.56 billion?
Huge, nasty cash.
Not really, because you know what? If I won it, you know what I'd done? I'd have called Wheels Up, got a private plane to Tallahassee, have a car waiting there at the airport to take me to the lottery office, show them the ticket, say, here's the bank number I want, here's where I want it to go. They put it in there. I get back in the car, back to the airport, back on the Wheels Up plane, back to Jackson Beach, and no one knows who did it.
Yeah,
no one knows who won. No one knows anything.
I was saying that I can't believe they haven't reached out to you guys, but they have reached out to me. It's Chili Palmer. He lives in Atlantic Beach. He bought that ticket in Neptune Beach. I'm convinced it's him.
I don't believe it. Have you
convinced
heard
it's
from him
Chili
in a day and a
Palmer.
half?
I've not heard from him.
Really?
I've not heard from him. Wow.
Well, here's the thing. Somebody won some sort of lottery in Ponte Vedra a few years back, put it in a trust fund, never to be heard from again.
Yeah. So there have been a couple of them. Now, I had a buddy in the AUG.
I wouldn't hear from me, man.
I had the buddy in the AUG that won the state lottery. And it
Right.
wasn't like a huge amount. But he did finally come out. And
few mil?
Well, I'm sure one of Forrest Gump, I like to call him, one of my dudes, his brother that won it. And so he ended up getting a limo, piled them all in there, drove up to Tally, just guzzling the whole way with a driver, and then, got their check, came back, and they tore through a little bit of it.
Right.
But he definitely set some aside. It wasn't like one of the big lottery checks, but still. I mean,
What would you do with your $470 million?
Yeah. I would give a lot of it away.
So would I.
I would give a lot.
I'd pay
of it
off
away.
all your mortgages.
Yeah.
And then say, don't ever call me again. I'm out of here. And you guys would never see me
Yeah,
again.
just forget
I'd
about
go
me.
build like a $50 million house on 100 acres in Montana.
Yeah. And so
and have
you're
another
Montana.
house in Florida.
Sirs always says he's an island guy.
I'm an island guy.
Yeah.
You're going to Montana.
Yeah.
I don't know what I like the idea of the Wheels Up plane, and then you can kind of go wherever.
Wherever,
I know Bo
honestly.
Valentine is pushing San Diego hard ever since our trip.
Well, it's
there.
hard not to like that place. It's so expensive.
The problem
Right,
is,
that's where
California get your money, then you don't want
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
You'd have to win the lottery to live there. But anyway, let us know, 641-1010. If you know who it is, just let us know. We'd like
You
to
can
know.
hit the text line. We
Yeah.
won't reveal. We
Exactly.
promise. Secrets are safe on the text line brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures.
Yeah, so TLD texted me earlier. She's like, Neptune Beach. Were you in Neptune Beach? Did you buy a ticket? Just let me know. Are you not telling me? Are you not telling me?
If you know people, and we do, in Neptune Beach, you have friends there, and you haven't heard from them in a couple days, you might get curious about
Exactly. It could be one of your friends, and all of a sudden you think you're like tight.
That's my Publix too, man.
Yeah.
Could have been me.
Yeah, if you're not in the circle. It could have
I'm
been
upset that you didn't buy a ticket.
And he would have helped pay off our mortgages.
Exactly.
The thing is, the guy probably uses the same numbers every week religiously, and it just nailed for him.
No, I bet you it was a quick. I bet you it was a quick pick.
Don't say that, sirs.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Because I fight back and forth between doing the same numbers all the time and getting a quick pick.
Yeah.
I fight it. All right, so let us know if you're out there or anyone that you know that you
Or
think
what you would do,
might have won
where
it.
you would go if
Oh,
you
yeah.
won
Yeah.
all that nasty cash.
Yeah, we would love it. We would love it. 641-1010. You can hit us with that. All right, so let's say hello to Connor O'Gara coming up in about 4 or 5 minutes. And then also Cooper Hodges will be coming up.
Yep, we'll say hello to Connor. We will get into the nitty-gritty of that Dan Mullen interview, as well as his top 25 for college football, the preseason here heading into the 2023 season. And yes, Cooper Hodges going one-on-one with the Tugboat. We break down the art of his cartwheels, and we actually do talk a lot of offensive line. So want to make sure we get to that interview before Leon jets out at 2. It's XL Primetime.
Huge, nasty cash.
The First Coast Honda Dealer Studios on 1010XL. Your place for Jags news. Jacksonville Sports Superstation has the Jaguars covered. 1010XL.
Hey Jacksonville, this is 17-time PGA Tour winner Jim Furyk inviting you to join me and the legends of the PGA Tour for the 3rd annual Constellation Furyk and Friends presented by Circle K, October 2 through 8 at Timaquana Country Club. Public parking is free, along with complimentary tournament access for our military, courtesy of ViStar Credit Union. Go to Ticketmaster to get your tickets today, and if you're not traveling to London, but watch the Jags this fall, join us Sunday morning in the Publix Tailgate Village to catch the game on the big screen. For more information, visit ConstellationFurykandFriends.com.
Hey, Matt Hayes here. Are you suffering with chronic pain and looking for the tools to end your pain and allow you to do the things you want? Then search no further. The Yas method for pain-free movement establishes the cause of pain and has found in 98% of the cases that cause is muscular. With 3 to 4 specialized strength training exercises that you perform and are taught to do on your own, you will end your pain and reclaim your life. No surgery, no pills, no needles. Call Dr. Yas at 904-906-YASS. That's 904-906-YASS.
Did you know the new 2023 Honda Accord Hybrid has an onboard system that charges the battery so you never have to plug it in? When you think Honda, you think quality, value, safety. Now think hybrid. Visit your local Honda dealer and experience the car of tomorrow today.
Did you know that many cooling companies are now part of big conglomerates with no connection to Northeast Florida? In the past, they have concentrated on heating and air conditioning, but after a buyout, many add plumbing and electrical services. This raises their overhead, and those costs are passed on to the consumer. It's a case where bigger isn't better, it's just more expensive. Not Mike Merritt's Heating and Air. Mike Merritt remains family-owned and operated. Merritt's focus has been the same for more than 30 years, keeping Northeast Florida comfortable, no matter what the weather. And there are no overtime or weekend surcharges. Mike Merritt's team does not work on commission. They repair only what needs repair and offer replacements only on what can't be fixed. And unlike at giant corporations where you can feel like just another number, with Mike Merritt you'll feel like number one. Florida license CACO 50384.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Introducing the latest menu addition at your neighborhood Woody's Barbecue. Now you can get fried chicken and fried pork. Whoa, Nelly!
At Woody's Barbecue, it's what we do. Let's eat.
Ackerman Urology's new Beaches location is now open, conveniently located on Atlantic Boulevard near Hodges. Visit the experts at Ackerman for all your prostate and urological concerns. AckermanUrology.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS right here in Jacksonville is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE Neograft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS. IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. Former Florida Gators head coach Dan Mullen, a guest of the Saturday Down South podcast, had some things to say about his time at the University of Florida, and he thinks the administration is finally catching up.
They finally finished and moved into a facility where kids can actually visit campus, and it's not, hey, our meeting's in the basement of a locker room, and hey, what do we do post-practice for, how do you do recovery for your team? There's like a trash bucket with ice in the parking lot. You know what I mean? Like they actually have a technology and stuff that kids show up and be like, oh, this is a good place to come.
Dan Mullen with Connor O'Gara on the Saturday Down South podcast. Connor joins XL Primetime in just a moment. 90 degrees at 104, time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
If Marco Wilson doesn't throw a shoe, are you still at Florida?
Probably yes. Now, obviously, there's so many different things that go into it, but I think there's a chance of that being the case.
Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
I always think of Eddie Murphy and my shoe when I think of that. But that question.
Who throws a shoe?
That question was posed by one Connor O'Gara with his Saturday Down South podcast, which is definitely a good listen every single week. But he brought Dan Mullen on, and I was listening, and it struck me. I'm like, oh, damn, did he get a lot out of Dan. Some of it maybe a little BS, but a lot of it truthful. Welcome in, Connor. How you doing, bud?
Hey, doing well. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I always think to myself, who throws a shoe? Honestly, who throws a shoe? Marco Wilson threw a very famous shoe, and a lot of takes have been said about it ever since then.
I'm not going to ask you about a believability meter or anything like that, but do you buy what Dan Mullen said? Because what happened, people may or may not remember. It's a fog game. It's LSU. Everything has been built up. It looks like Florida's going to be able to close them out. They start a freshman and Brad Johnson's son. Anyway, they've got the play, and then Marco Wilson rips the shoe off, throws it. They get the flag, and then they boot through the fog. What was it, a 58, whatever it was. It was a big field goal, and they end up winning. Do you believe Dan Mullen would have still been the coach?
I don't believe Dan Mullen would still be the coach entering what would be, year 6 this would be?
Yes.
But I believe Dan Mullen believes that. And that's kind of why I wanted to ask the question in the first place. It was the last question of that entire, 55-minute interview with the former Florida head coach, because I think that you could look at that moment as a potential fork in the road for his time. And the interesting thing about that game is obviously it takes Florida's playoff chances out. And that was a team that to that point, felt really good about that and felt like it had that on the table going into the SEC championship, where I'll disagree with Dan, who, thinks that could have led to potentially making the playoff, even if they had played Alabama close. They still would have been a 2-loss team, and A&M was a 1-loss team, and A&M had the head-to-head against Florida. So that's kind of neither here nor there. But I do think that Mullen probably would have had the recruiting stuff catch up to him. I think that would have inevitably been his downfall. And he can say that it's because of the facilities. Yeah, he probably would have recruited better with better facilities. But it still comes back to the fact that when Dan Mullen was at Mississippi State, he recruited one 4-star kid from the state of Florida, and that was Cord Sandberg, who didn't go on to play football at Mississippi State. He was at a really uphill disadvantage just because of his background, even though obviously he's a coordinator there. So I default to that a little bit. I don't think he would still be the head coach at Florida.
Yeah, I think what I got from that podcast is what I've been saying all along is that 2020 team, that whole season really scarred him because he believed he could have won it all with that team. And I think he probably could have won it all with that team too. They were in that SEC championship game, but for a 3 weird things that happened that went against them. That scarred him. But I think the bigger deal was, the the whole Texas A&M thing. Let's fill up the swamp. The Darth Vader thing. The run at starting a near brawl in midfield at halftime. So Dan can talk about the shoes. That's what really got him tossed at Florida. That and putting Florida on probation for the first time in 30 years also was kind of a little problem for him there as well. But the one thing I will say, Connor, first off, you did a phenomenal job, okay? I don't know how much it was all truth. I don't know how much, Joe talks about how there was a little BS. I don't know how much BS is in there, man. I think there's a lot of truth in there. I think really the only BS was that he would still be the coach there. I don't think he would be, but he said a lot of true things that I think, Connor, for Gator fans, it's hard to hear, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the reality. And he's talking about how he would have these conversations with Florida administration about why they needed the facility upgrades. And they'd say, oh, well, Spurrier didn't need this. They didn't need that. And he's like, well, football's changed. And he's right in that regard. And Florida was too late. I mean, there's no way that they should have been opening up their $85 million facility at the start of the 2022 season. And who knows, how much of that is impacted by COVID. But what I do think is interesting, and the thing that I wanted to bring up with it, because I think the stage for 2020 that was set was just not one that Dan Mullen was fully prepared for. And he thought it was going to be a different year with the talent that he had coming back, feeling like it was indeed a championship-level team. If they get that extension done after year 2, which, remember, he became the first coach to ever start off at a new place with consecutive BCS or New Year's Six Bowl victories. That was Dan Mullen coming off of year 2. But then COVID happened. And I think all of that uncertainty with the contract stuff and feeling that pressure to win and still feeling like he had to prove himself, I think that kind of set the wheels in motion for the Dan Mullen that we saw in 2020, which was clearly one that Florida did not feel like was worth investing in long term because that buyout didn't change from $12 million. And ultimately, that year was the beginning of the end for him.
And in the opinion of this sports journalist, Connor, I think he was already eyeing the NFL. Once folks said, hey, this Kyle Pitts, Kyle Trask offense, it's so revolutionary, he was looking up at the New York Football Jets and thinking, maybe, possibly. Did you get that vibe from Dan that the NFL is in play / he thought it was in play in 2020?
I think he's intrigued by it. I think he's really legitimately intrigued by it. And I could see a world in which he wants to go to the NFL, but I don't know that the NFL is making him a head coach anytime soon. And I think he wants to be a head coach, but he talked a lot about the calendar of the college football cycle. And, it's been pretty well documented, his shortcomings as a recruiter. He's not wired the way Kirby is. Say what you want about, Kirby and, they spend more on recruiting. He's just not wired like Kirby is, and I think that's because his background is a lot different. And I think there is a part of him that would love to see what the NFL looks like. I don't know if the Urban experience scared him off from that and seeing the way that it played out. I think Dan Mullen and Urban Meyer are very different people. We will probably see that play out when Swamp Kings comes out in a couple weeks on Netflix. But I do think there is a part of him that would love to go to the NFL. But it's all about finding the right opportunity. He's in no hurry because he's pretty good at the media stuff too. And I think that he wants to kind of see what his options are. Obviously, he's not hurting for money. And I think he's enjoyed having a rare offseason to not have to feel like he's, on call around pretty much 365 days a year.
Well, Connor, it's well documented that Dan Mullen didn't enjoy recruiting that much. But how do you think he would have done in the era of NIL and with the facility at Florida?
I think he would have done better with the facility upgrades, but I don't know that Dan Mullen is a coach who cares a ton about NIL. I don't know that that's really where he would stake his reputation on. I think that there is a certain degree of acceptance that would come, but I don't know if he would fully embrace it, and I don't know that he saw the need for the support staff in the same way that Billy Napier did, and Billy Napier has a huge support staff in ways that Dan Mullen never did, and how much of that is because Dan Mullen didn't push for it, I don't know. But I don't know that he's necessarily wired in that sort of way to thrive under those circumstances. Just because guy's a schemer. He's an offensive schemer, and maybe the best in college football when he's on the sideline. But I just don't think that part of the game necessarily resonated with him, and it was probably a little bit of why he had the struggles that he did recruiting at the end of his time in Florida.
We're talking with Connor O'Gara. You can check out all of his stuff at Saturday Down South. Definitely check out the SDS site and the podcast at CJ O'Gara on Twitter. And we got to get to Billy and maybe one or two current SEC questions, but staying on the Mullen topic, the way he described Anthony Richardson, hey, he flashed and then he would get hurt, and we wanted to get him in against Alabama. Expand on what you thought, what he thought of Anthony Richardson and how good he could be.
Yeah, I'm not particularly a fan of anybody being compared to Cam Newton. Whenever somebody does that, and then I'm like, all right, if there's anybody that has the right to be able to compare someone to Cam Newton, it's probably Dan Mullen, the guy who saw both of those two players. But yeah, hearing him talk about the starting, trying to get him reps and what that looks like, and he did get hurt in the first part of that year. He's still doing his pregame somersaults and backflips and all that stuff while he's hurt. It's kind of a different subject for a different time. But I don't think that he handled that the best he could. And I think part of that, it was his allegiance to Emory Jones and wanting to see this play out after he invested 3+ years into being able to develop him. Like, that's who Dan Mullen is. And I think he struggled with the fact that once Anthony Richardson took the field, it was clear he was the more talented quarterback. Giving him his first career start in that game against Georgia was a bad idea. Yes. And I think that that's not the way that he would have drawn it up initially, but it became one of those situations where he couldn't keep him off the field, and he struggled internally with that desire to want to see the Emory Jones thing through and not just bench a guy after one game because he wasn't as talented as the other guy.
Yeah, I almost think he knew the writing was on the wall right then.
Might have been a setup.
He knew what was going on. He knew how the season was going to end.
Might have been a setup.
It's not looking good. All right, so let's go to the here and now, Connor. Billy Napier, we've talked about this. I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. Is Billy almost like purposely saying he feels good about Mertz, and Mertz looks good, and Mertz is this, and Mertz is that, and the players are saying Mertz looks great because they're trying to give him that confidence to play well? Because, I mean, I'm watching all the video coming out of the Florida camp, and it's not like the ball's jumping off his arm. It's not like, wow, ooh, look at Graham Mertz. He's just a guy throwing balls out there.
Isn't that what they need, though? I mean, isn't that what they need? Isn't that much better than the random occasional viral clip of Anthony Richardson doing something, once over the course of 65 plays in a football game? Isn't that kind of better for what Florida is trying to establish? I'm not saying, look, I'm low on Graham Mertz. I'm very low on Graham Mertz. I would have him number 14 among SEC starting quarterbacks out of 14 teams. Okay, so I'm very much dismissing the idea that he's going to be a stud. But at the same time, like, they need a distributor of the football. They need somebody who's not going to go 2 hours without completing a pass in a rivalry game. They need someone who doesn't necessarily have this massive upside that's making you go, oh my gosh, wait until you see what this guy did. Because I think that Florida needs to get back to the basics a little bit. They need to establish that running game. They need to rely on the play action and execute in the intermediate passing game. And that's what's going to take this offense to a place that it really wasn't at last year. So, yeah, I'm not necessarily going to overlook that. What bothers me is when I see some of these viral plays that are being made when it's non-contact stuff. I'm like,
it's 7-on-7 and individual stuff. I mean, it's
yeah. I don't know. That stuff gets overblown. So I won't look too far into that. But obviously, yeah, I'm in wait-and-see mode. I don't necessarily think that he's going to set the world on fire. But, even if Florida just had a starting quarterback from start to finish who didn't make you pull out your hair, I think that would be a win for Billy Napier in year two.
A couple more for Connor O'Gara on the All-Pro Roofing Hotline. You can find his stuff at Saturday Down South, both in written and podcast form. And you can find him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara, no apostrophe. I know that life all too well with my last name being O'Brien. Connor, we took a look at your preseason top 25 that you published on Saturday Down South, and I'll ask you the same question that the boys and I were throwing around yesterday, which is, outside of the top 15, who is the TCU this year? Who is a team that could potentially make a run to the college football playoff and shock some people along the way?
Oh, that's a good question because I have TCU at 16, so that's perfect. No, I don't think TCU is running it back this year. I don't think that's very fair after everything that they lost. But a team outside of the top 15 that is really, really interesting, that's probably not going to get talked about a whole lot. Okay, I'm going to say Kansas State.
So did
super
we.
Intriguing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, people forgot that Kansas State won the Big 12 last year. Nobody talked about the fact that Chris Kleiman's squad was awesome down the stretch because they got blown out against Alabama. And everybody was wondering, well, what does it mean for TCU, and what does it mean for their playoff chances? What does it mean for Max Duggan and his Heisman chances? They have a really talented squad coming back, and I understand they lost Deuce Vaughn, who was there for like 12 years, but they retained their starting quarterback down the stretch. They retained an offensive line that's absolutely loaded with Cooper Beebe. Like, this is going to be a really, really good team. So I would say Kansas State's there, and a team that's getting talked about a ton is Texas. But I have Texas outside of my top 15 to start off the year, just because I think when you win 8 games, you shouldn't necessarily vault into that top 10 conversation. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably coming from the Big 12. That's probably the team that has a more favorable path, just because there isn't necessarily that juggernaut that we expect to be able to run the conference this year.
Now, Connor, give me your realistic wins, losses for Florida this season. What games do they have to win, and what games they can't lose?
7-5 is what I keep coming back to. And I have my crystal ball that'll be dropping in a couple of weeks on Florida, where I go game by game. But yeah, I'm looking at this going 7-5. And look, I think they'll drop, like, on the road LSU. They're not winning that game in Jacksonville. They're not beating Georgia. I think that game at South Carolina is going to be really difficult, even at Kentucky as well. But here's what I wonder about. Tennessee has not won in the Swamp in 20 years. Can we talk more about that? Because I feel like Tennessee fans have already penciled that in for a win. I'm like, man, I've seen this rivalry too much to just assume that that's going to be the case. But the one that I have circled, that regular season finale against Florida State. Florida State last year in Tallahassee watched Anthony Richardson go 2 hours without completing a pass. Florida had like Ricky Pearsall and 7 walk-ons as receivers in that football game, and lost by a touchdown. Florida win that one in the Swamp? I think they do this year, and I think they end Florida State's playoff hopes maybe a little bit similar to like a South Carolina-Clemson situation last year, where they have playoff hopes going into the regular season finale. That one would change the entire narrative of Billy Napier post-year 2 going into that really daunting schedule he has in year 3.
You just created a bunch of smiles and frowns right here on the First Coast. Knowles fans, they'll take issue with that. Gator fans will say, all right, at least we got that to look forward to. Good stuff, dude. We appreciate it. At CJ O'Gara on Twitter. Definitely check out Saturday Down South and the podcast. It's always good stuff. We appreciate your time, bro. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right. And if like, I didn't even go down the Jimbo avenue. We'll do that later. But if what he said is true, as far as that last game of the season, Florida State, what will they be? How good can they be? Are they ready to keep it rolling against their rival in Gainesville? That will be a massive.
I tell you what, the best point he makes, and I've been saying this all offseason too, that Tennessee's not going to go in there and win. It's not going to be an easy win for them going into Gainesville. No. That's going to be a very difficult game for them.
And he also brings up the very good point that Anthony Richardson didn't complete a pass for 2 hours. And that game still was down to the wire.
Yeah.
And I appreciate his analogy in comparison to that Clemson South Carolina game, because I think the reason a lot of people are high on the Gamecocks going into year 3 of the Shane Beamer project is because of how the season ended for them, even if it ended in a bowl game loss here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, but they played 2 great games against Tennessee and against Clemson, and so yeah, it's massive. We'll have our eyes on Florida State tomorrow. They've got a couple practices here in Duval, and we're looking forward to those that we will have coming up. All right, we keep it rolling. It's XL Primetime. Golf Club of Southampton Wednesday. Don't forget the 9 after 5 tonight or any day of the week. They just got through punching, but call 287-PLAY and get on the tee sheet.
Buckle up. You're in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios with XL Primetime on 1010XL. Find your new Honda at your 8 local Honda dealers.
The home of Jaguars fans.
We are Jaguars! We're Duval till we die, baby.
1010XL.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Tired of the same old places for happy hour? Downtown's best is at Bellwether. It's Tuesday through Saturday from 4 to 7, with the exception on Friday when happy hour starts at 11, because why not? For all you late-nighters, Bellwether offers nightcap specials on Friday and Saturday from 9 to 11. Want a snack with your cocktail? Bellwether has a unique bar food spread. And guess what? All metered parking is free after 6 and weekends. That's Bellwether downtown.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. When it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
If your hair is thinning and you're looking for an easy solution that will restore your hair, check out IHRS PRP Platelet-Rich Plasma. PRP, using your own platelets and cells to restore your hair where it's thinning. Combined with their FDA-approved laser hair therapy and pharmaceutical-grade products, all three will deliver one better result. Call IHRS now for a free evaluation and to find out if their PRP 45-minute treatment will work for you. Now there is a solution for any man or woman with any degree of hair loss. And it's all in one place. Call 904-777-IHRS. IHRS has been restoring hair for over 30 years. The staff at IHRS knows what it's like to lose their hair. And that's why they're ready to help you grow your hair back.
Schedule your free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins The Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Do you have a lift station at your business? Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services would love to be your maintenance provider. Give us a call for a quote today. 904-862-6769 or online at duckrooter.com.
Life a little expensive right now? If you need cash, Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jack's Beach is ready to buy. Gold, silver coins, and flatware, guitars and guns. Beaches Jewelry and Pawn wants to buy them. See Chuck and get extra cash only at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn.
The coolers are full at your local Gate gas station, making it easy for you to cruise in and cruise out with little downtime. Ice cold Coronas, Natty Light, Stella Artois, and Michelob Ultra. Don't forget the king of beers, Cold Buds. Gate's got them in the cooler, waiting for you.
Well, gang, you play all year for this. You go down to the Shark Tank all year for this. It's time to play for the ship. It's championship game Saturday night for your Jacksonville Sharks. At the VyStar Arena, kickoff at 7 o'clock, and tickets to get in start at just $20. Don't miss it. It's the game of the year as the Sharks go for a title. Call 904-621-0700 or go to jackssharks.com for more information. And we'll see you in the Shark Tank Saturday night.
Sports injuries are a common issue for both adults and children. Dr. George Barry here, and as a specialist in orthopedic care, the team at Barry Orthopedics and Sports Medicine here in Jacksonville provides comprehensive diagnosis and treatments of all types of sports injuries. With additional training in sports medicine and more than 30 years of experience, the team is available to care for your entire family and help you have fun and stay active. Visit us today at barryorthopedics.com.
And don't forget to check out Breaking Bones Sunday morning, 7:30 on 1010XL.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Former Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs has been sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. Prosecutors say his blood alcohol level was 0.1, twice the legal limit, after he drove drunk and killed 23-year-old Tina Tinter and her dog in November 2021. He was driving 156 miles per hour while under the influence.
Sad. In prison for a while.
3 to 10 years.
Yeah, 3 to 10.
I mean, you could get out earlier than that. He might be out in 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
18, 20 months. It's tough. That's very, very tough for that family. Not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Not good.
Yeah. Let's get to Cooper Hodges, who I do think, Gibby is the App State man.
That's
on
right.
XL Primetime.
Cooper's the man
This week, and he loves him. And
Well,
Baker
listen,
County
he's
loves him.
beloved. I was going to say in this neck of the woods.
He's a
too.
fan favorite.
And as you'll hear, I lead off with it. Last time we talked to Cooper, he was a nice feel-good story. Maybe he makes the team. I asked John Osher during the handoff. At this point in time, even if he's not a factor in this year's roster and this year's starting lineup, they plan on him being a part of this team and eventually being a starter for the Jaguars. And so you can't risk possibly cutting him and hoping that he makes it to a practice squad and you can retain his services. You have to find a way to get him onto the 53. Will that show up? Will that be evident when he takes the field for his first preseason games? That remains to be seen. Here he is, the one, the only, Cooper Hodges. Pleased to be joined with Jacksonville's rookie offensive lineman and Baker County's own Cooper Hodges. Cooper, the last time I spoke with you in rookie minicamp, you were just focused on making the team. And while I know that's still a goal, you've definitely turned some heads over these last few weeks. What have you been most proud of your performance so far in your first training camp?
My consistency so far, that's, something that's, reiterated to us a lot is, stacking days. And that's what I'm just trying to do. I'm just having a good day after good day after good day. And then, just try to stay consistent with that, not do too much, just do my job. That's all you have to do, man. Do your job and know what you're supposed to do, and that's all I'm really worried about.
Saturday in particular, you really came alive, let's say, in that stadium practice, both on the field and then also off of it. For you, what is it about one-on-ones that's kind of brought the best out of you?
For me, Coach Rasher, Coach Phil, he kind of told us, he's like, one-on-ones is a time for you to, put tools in your tool bag, try things that you're not so, great at, and so, I'm just trying everything, trying to find out what I'm good at, what I need to work on. And so it's basically just like an experiment right now. And I find what works and I find that doesn't. So, but obviously there's that competitive edge during the one-on-ones. You always want to win every rep you can. Our biggest thing is, trying to win and definitely finishing. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing about it.
I think people forget you didn't play right guard. You didn't play guard in college. What has the transition been like for you? Who have you leaned on in this process of learning a new position?
The transition's been pretty good so far. It's definitely a different kind of game. There's not as much space out there like there is at tackle. At guard, everything kind of happens quick. You got to have some accelerated vision kind of thing. And really all these vets have been awesome. Brandon, Tyler, Blake, just all these guys. They're awesome dudes. Even Barch, man. Like they're all helping me out, just trying to give me the tools and give me the insight on how to actually play the position. So definitely very appreciative of them.
Has there been any one rep that you've been like, all right, this is the moment, like that, the light bulb's going off for me at this position?
I don't know. I guess the light bulb just gets a little brighter every day, as I would say. You kind of you do one rep and you're like, oh, okay, that's you feel it, and then you watch it on film, like, oh, that's I look like a football player there. I look like Brandon. It's kind of. That's kind of the thing I'm trying to do every day is just, almost more and more look like Brandon. You know what I mean? He's a great player. He's all pro. Just kind of mimic how he plays and mimic things he does. That's really what I'm going for. Saturday, first NFL preseason game. Boy from Baker County going to play for his hometown team. What is that going to mean for you when you step on the field at Jerry World of all places? It's huge, man. And I think everybody knows that I represent with 100% effort at everything I got, and it's just going to be it's going to be a dream come true for real. Everything, the dream's coming true. You get practicing, you're doing all this, but when you play that first game, that's when you're really like, oh man, I'm here. So I'm very excited, and I can't wait to just take the fields with these guys, man. All right, let's break down your cartwheel game. 3 for 5. I'm 3 for 5 right now. 3 for 5? Yeah. Okay, all right. How long have you been practicing this cartwheel? Where did it come from? So, it all started, hyping the crowd up. It was kind of just like, the vets were like, you just hype the crowd up, man. You just kind of playing about it. I was like, okay, I'll do it. I don't care. And then it just kind of progressed. It's progressing a little bit more and more every day. And, I don't know. I think we got one more. Is tomorrow an open practice? We got one more. I might have to do something a little extra tomorrow. I don't know. But, honestly, I was actually doing my little cousins. She was doing a cartwheel. I was like, I'm going to try one. This is like before camp started. And then I guess that's just kind of what it's kind of taken over now, so it's cool. Will you still be doing the cartwheels when there's no fans in attendance? I don't know. I kind of do it for the fans, juice them up. And I really do it for the guys, just to get them juiced up and kind of get a little juice flowing before practice. So. I saw you literally, the cuffs
yesterday. You literally when you and Brandon were getting ready, you took the gloves off. You did your little cuff action when you were getting ready. You did a little cuff action, so we appreciate that. Have you had a lot of family from Baker County get out to practice these last few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I got some family here right now, so it's awesome. I mean, they can come to as many practices they want to or whenever they have time, so it's awesome. But definitely, even in the stadium Saturday, I had some friends and some family there, and just being able to, let them see the cartwheel action, it's pretty crazy. So, but yeah, it's awesome just to be this close to home and have, the support system that I have is awesome.
All right, last question from me. Take us behind the scenes of the Miller Electric Center. What's the best meal that you've had? What's the go-to for you as you get ready for this crazy heat that we've been having?
So me, I'm an ice cream cone guy every night. Right when I get out the building, we're kind of. I got a little ice cream, got a little sweet tooth in the night. The pizza has actually been really good too. He's a Baker County native back there cooking the pizza too. So he's got that. He's putting that Baker County love into that thing. Everything about it's awesome. We've had some, we had chimichurri steak and all that good stuff, salmon. It's just I can't pick a favorite. You know what I mean? I love the ice cream bar. I'll just put it there. I'll put it there.
Hey, that's a good thing to know. We may have to get you on the next episode of The Scoop and get you out to a local ice cream shop here in Duval.
I'll tear it up, man. I'll tear it up.
Well, you're tearing it up out there, Coop. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Chimichurri steak, salmon. Did you have that back in your day, Leon?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I tell you something about Cooper. He could, as a wily vet, he could be inspirational or he can get on your nerves. I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's training camp and he's enjoying it way too much for me. All right, he's enjoying training camp.
That's when a veteran.
I'm just telling you, it depends on which veteran. It depends on which veteran he's dealing with. Some veterans they like to see rookies go out there and act the fool and cartwheel and all that kind of stuff, But then there's some veterans who absolutely hate training camp, and they see him over there having a good time. They're like, "Oh man, he disgusses me." Well, it just depends on what side of the fence you want.
Yeah,
that's all.
I totally do not doubt it because you're talking about a guy with boundless enthusiasm.
Yes,
and he wants to prove to everybody that he can do whatever they want. And then you guys are like, "I've already proved. I don't need to do anything."
What could be better? He's from Duval. He's essentially from Duval, and he's playing for the Jaguars. Come on now. That's a storybook, fairy tale storybook right there and then and there.
Yes. To go back, there have been a few other ones, but Rasheed Mathis is the biggest.
True.
He is the biggest.
Yeah.
On the field, real quickly, before we say hello to Dr. George Bari, moving from tackle to guard, I even said to Rick Ballou, this notion of, well, who could be your swing tackle? This kid played tackle in college, even if it was at the Group of 5 level. What goes into that transition?
Well, I think that they know the fact that he played at Appalachian State where they ran the ball a mass majority of the time, and he was effective. Gibby was just giving us the stats that he was considered one of the best run-blocking right tackles in college football.
Yeah.
And they averaged, 300 yards rushing a
That's a
game.
good stat. Yeah.
So knowing that, and the Jaguars knowing that, moving him inside, because the right tackle position right now is filled through with Anton Harrison. They want to make sure he's developed. And you don't want to put him behind him where you might want to put him behind Sheriff, where he can learn behind Sheriff and develop him, and absorb all that information and knowledge and wisdom from a perennial All-Pro to where somewhere down the line, he can be utilized and be effective.
And has the body type and the mentality to be that guy.
Yep.
And that right side of that line's got to be able to just be bruisers, which is great.
It's the mentality, right?
Yeah, it really
That's
is.
what you need.
It's the mindset. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. They need a dog.
Here's the thing. The one thing I got to tell you about offensive line, if you ever find an offensive lineman that says, I'd rather pass block than run block, then you got the wrong lineman. Because we want to eat. Dogs want to eat.
I remember one time asking him, too, after they beat Texas A&M last September, I said, what was it like running the ball against Texas A&M, all those 5 stars? And he's like, man, we want to beat their you-know-what. And he said, as an offensive lineman, I want that on my shoulders, and I love that attitude.
Yeah, it really is. That's kind of what Serge is saying is that's the DNA that you want in those guys. You cut them open, and that's what you see. All right, now, you had Cooper Hodges. We said also that Rick Ballou will have Blake Hance later.
Hacker got Luke Farrell.
And then Hayes has got Calvin Ridley. So we've got all sorts of good ones to listen to throughout the day. You can go to the social channels, 1010XL, with all kinds of good things.
Garland with the heavy hitter.
Oh, yeah.
Yet he didn't tell us.
Boy, he looks.
To go film it.
Yeah.
He looks really good, man.
Yeah. Oh,
Looks
my
good
gosh.
again today.
Yeah.
He's just got that
Just
explosion.
doing what he do.
It's that explosion. It's
He's
like,
got that extra gear.
You can see he's different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's rare.
And they cannot wait to see him under the lights for real. You'll see some of it. Maybe Saturday night, he and T-Law hooking up. We got our Bari breakdown with injuries. Jalen Ramsey has come out swinging against the Surgeons. We'll have that coming up on XL Primetime.
Cruising with XL Primetime in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios on 1010XL. Wherever you go, there we are.
I know. I checked online.
1010XL is on your smartphone and tablet. Download our free app for all devices and take us with you around Duval and around the world.
Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the smoothest local vodka you can find. Made right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 100% from corn, Brackish Vodka is the local gluten-free choice. Brackish Vodka, for those that live life slightly salty, a proud partner of the Jaguars.
Get slightly salty and enjoy Brackish Vodka at Whitey's Fish Camp, the place to be since 1963.
Honey-do list around the house just getting longer? First Coast Home Pros has handyman services you can trust. From bathroom remodeling to home repairs, First Coast Home Pros has you covered. Go to firstcoasthomepros.com.
The Big Deal lineup is back at Sonny's Barbecue, and now there's bacon. Introducing the new candied bacon burger, chicken sandwich, and fried green tomato BLT. All topped with bacon that's coated and crisped in our sweet and spicy rub. Each served with a side and drink starting at $9.99 for a limited time. Or add candied bacon to any sandwich for just $2. Come get a Big Deal combo today at Sonny's Barbecue. Local pit masters since '68.
Ackerman Urology offers the most advanced options for improving men's health and vitality. Their board-certified urologists treat all prostate disease and sexual health issues. Call their new location on Atlantic and Hodges or visit AckermanUrology.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On August 9th, 1936, Jesse Owens is part of the American 100-meter relay team that wins gold in world record fashion at the Berlin Olympics.
'Tis the season to be cool. Florida Home AC wants to make sure you're not cooked like a Christmas goose this summer. Make sure your AC unit is ready for the heat, and if it's time to look at replacement, look for quality and value. You'll get that from Florida Home AC. And right now, take advantage of $1,750 off a brand new heating and AC unit. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com for all the details and trust a company that will always keep you cool. Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars.
There are 16 spots in the playoffs and just one track left. Well, not just any track.
We're basically going to have to win.
Daytona. A last chance to keep playoff hopes alive.
1 point to the good.
And for fans to experience an event unlike any other. NASCAR weekend at Daytona International Speedway, August 25th and 26th. Get your tickets now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods, and I'm proud to say that Underwoods is the longest-standing member of the American Gym Society in the state of Florida. That's important because the American Gym Society promotes professionalism inside the business, and most important because of how it protects the customer. Gemstones are like most things, and you have to have the knowledge about them before you can tell the truth about them. That's where the American Gym Society fits in. They're the organization that certifies gemologists and registered jewelers and certifies sales associates with professional titles. Then to ensure that we stay up to date with these gemological advances, we re-win our titles by passing a written test every year. And now I'm proud to say Underwoods has the largest credentialed American Gem Society staff east of the Mississippi River. So if you're interested in diamonds and jewelry and want real professional help, stop by Underwoods.
Underwood Jewelers in San Marco, in Avondale, and at the shops of Ponte Vedra.
I-9 Sports, offering youth sports leagues all over the First Coast. If you want to find out how you can get your son or daughter in flag football, soccer, basketball, or t-ball, the focus is simply on them. Log on to i9sports.com and get your kid in the game.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
This is Dr. Michael Iorio, internal medicine physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars running back Tank Bigsby has been turning heads at Jaguars training camp. Head coach Doug Peterson was asked this morning about the rookie third-round pick out of Auburn.
He's done a nice job, so far. There's still some learning to do and some growing to do as a rookie, but keeping him kind of where he is right now is a good thing, and expand maybe as you go. We're only 2 weeks in, of camp, and there's a lot of football ahead of us, so we're just gonna pump the brakes and make sure he's good with what he can handle.
Doug Peterson this morning, courtesy of Jaguars.com. The Jags kick off Week 1 of the preseason on Saturday at Dallas. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Our next guest is not affiliated with the NFL or Jacksonville Jaguars.
Discussion of injuries is solely based on opinion.
Now, the Bari Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Injury Breakdown.
Coming in hot, Gio. He is in the house. He of Bari Orthopedics, Dr. George Bari, fellowship trained under the renowned Dr. James Andrews, scrubbed up and ready to go. Gio, how are you?
Good. I just, scrubbed up. I let it slide every time.
Yeah.
Scrubbed up. When we say scrubbed up, it actually means that we're scrubbing for surgery.
Yeah.
Not actually that you're wearing scrubs.
Right. And I put them together. I do. Like I go back to the days of watching MASH. When they're getting every part of their body clean. How clean do you have to be, by the way?
I mean, you got when I first started residency, you'd scrub for 5 minutes.
Each 5?
5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Now there's newer stuff where it's just like a cream lotion you just rub all over yourself. You're supposed to still do first scrub of the day. You scrub, but the theory is, you're washing your hands and putting it under unsterile water. You're putting it under city water, right?
Oh.
So, but
there's all sorts of theories.
Who knows?
Everyone's trying to.
That's why you guys walk around. Don't touch.
Yeah. Everyone's trying to cave in the theory that you're clean, and then the city water, the city water. But again, I was trying to work it all together. Scrubbed up. Listen, he is an orthopedic surgeon. He deals with joint pain, replacement, whatever it might be. If you've got a sports injury question, you can hit the text line 641-1010. Let us know what it is. Free medical advice. We will try and throw it right back at you. I think we've got to start out with a little bit of drama from Jalen Ramsey, and I shot this to you earlier, Gio. Gibby came in, was cracking up over the whole deal because, this guy is pitching a fit over what people are saying about when he can come back. And let's just go back and talk about the meniscus itself and how serious.
Yeah, they talked about meniscus. They said 6 months, which makes it seem like it's a repair, not a meniscectomy, because a meniscectomy is 6 to 8 weeks, and you're usually back by 2 months. So meniscus repair is a 6-month protocol. And that's where we got that idea from. And then one of the guys who goes online a lot on TV, the sports docs, and said he may have a hard time coming back to the elite level he was. Jalen Ramsey got a little offended and went off on him.
He clapped back.
Yeah,
This was Dr. Chow. He was the former Chargers team doctor.
Yeah. I don't know if his tweet made any sense because he got mad at the doc for just answering a question. But, we'll see how he does. It's a meniscus repair. There's a 10% failure rate, which is a risk, which then requires another surgery. And, hopefully he does come back fine, but, he gets offended a lot.
Let me read at least what Jalen put out there. And this was after, like we said, the doc puts his opinion out there. That's what it is on the I Am Athlete pod. And Jalen, all caps, shut up. And then he says, I done let a couple of things slide, but y'all have no clue what's even going on. Just talking to hear y'all selves talk. Last I checked, I serve the one and only God who dictates everything, not all these Twitter X-doctors. We now have a new name for them, not Twitter doctors,
Twitter X-doctors.
Who have never seen me in their lives. And then he follows it with, God bless, which is nice.
God's out there going, bro, keep me out of this.
Yeah.
G's
saying,
man.
I don't need to be part of this. But honestly, he's probably a little frustrated, but all they're trying to do is at least give people an idea of what.
Plus, how old is he now? 28? 29?
Who, Jalen?
28?
He's 27, I think.
Yeah.
27?
28, maybe. Yeah.
So he's been in the league now how long? 7 years.
16.
Yeah, 7 years. So he's now coming up on 8.
Yeah,
he's
he
28.
came in in
28.
16,
So
yeah.
does age some point does age start to decrease those percentages of
age always
recovery?
has a factor. I mean, he's still relatively young, right? I mean, when we say he's old, he's not really old, but we talk about professional sports age, right? But in reality, he's a young guy, so I think he should be okay. But yes, as you get older, things do tend to heal less and increase healing time.
Speaking of players and could they be ready sooner rather than later, Joe Burrow, the calf strain, Doc, that many people, when they saw the video, thought it's a non-contact injury. I'm sure you were right there with him, the way that he collapsed at Bengals practice. His wide receiver, Jamar Chase, coming under some fire because he said, I don't want Joe to rush back. He can come back week 5. And people went, whoa, like, what's the injury? And he said, no. I just want him to take his time. From the updates that we've been getting out of Cincinnati, they expect him to be ready week 1. But
when you hear a player, a teammate, a very close one, say something like that,
yeah, I mean, there's certainly a reason to be like, hey, wait a second, what's this? But from all reports, it seems to indicate that, it's apparently, according to Zach Taylor, day-to-day. They had him work out and spend some time on the sidelines at practice, but also going to rehab, and essentially said that it's a several-week situation and it isn't a concern that he'll be back for week 1. So what sort of calf strain would that be, especially since some reporters spotted him walking without a limp? He was totally walking fine, and he just had a sleeve on that injured calf.
And he did, when he went down, did he grab? I think he grabbed his knee.
No,
it's like
directly his calf.
That's why people thought it was the Achilles.
Popped a little bit, then went down.
Yeah. I mean, so usually when you pop your calf, that's a lot of times people do it closer to the knee. The posterior knee is the medial head of the gastroc, but you could also injure it in the distal portion, which is closer to your Achilles.
Right.
There's a muscle called the plantaris muscle. It's very small, and you can pop it. And I know they mentioned to me someone, I think I read that they thought it might have been the Achilles for a second.
A lot of people did just watching it.
Sometimes a lot of people will hear a pop. They say, I popped something. I felt a big pop. They get this bruising, and you go, oh, man, it's the Achilles, but the Achilles is intact. It's actually the plantaris tendon that ruptured. It's a very small tendon that kind of runs with it. You can do fine after it kind of heals up. But maybe that's what he had, and maybe that's why the reports were kind of ambiguous at first, and he went down like that. But you could pop that tendon. It feels like an Achilles, but it's not important. I don't say it's not important, but it's, you don't really need it. It's just going to take time to recover from it. You will have some weakness that you have to kind of overcome, but much better than having an Achilles.
All right, so our guy Ben Barch in practice today, he's out there doing individual work. He's not doing teamwork, doesn't have a helmet on, but he's got shorts, jersey, and he's doing individual pass pro work. So in other words, he's doing lateral movements too. So it's not like he's slowing down at all. He's out there doing basically what he would do were he on the field in teamwork.
Yeah.
So where do you think they are with him? And again, he heard it when October 5, and we still don't know the exact diagnosis of what it was.
Yeah,
but he's been out now 11 months.
Yeah, you want me to get on that? Yeah. I'll get on it for
we're
you.
still
No problem.
arguing of his knee dislocation or patella dislocation. But so I believe it's the patella dislocation based on what we mentioned earlier. before. And there's actually studies on this about return to play. 91% of players were able to come back to play, but only 68% of those 91% were able to come back at the same level or greater, which means 30%, 32% of the people who were able to come back played at a level that was lower than what they were at before. That's a pretty big number, 32%. And that's 32% of the 91 that came back. So it's actually a little higher number of
percentage-wise,
right?
yeah.
So, maybe that's part of the issue, and that's why they're slowing him down a little bit. I don't want to say that that's the reason, but if you just look at the studies and you're trying to brainstorm, that could be a reason why he's struggling a little bit to come back, and they're just kind of slowing him down.
But the length of rehab is the concern, right?
It is. It's long. I mean, look, when
It's
you say the average time is 8 months, what the studies were saying 8.5 months, that means some people came before, some people are shorter, and some people were longer. So you have that bell curve, right? And maybe he's just on the other side of the bell curve, but
he's right around 10.
He's basically in his 10th month.
Yeah, he's right around 10.
And so
as long as he heals and does well, then no one's going to care that it took a little longer.
Leon will chime in on this before he leaves, but it's that point of attack. It's when that 300-pound man on the other side and they engage, can he hold up? And guys are going to be coming at him from all angles.
Right, and then that kneecap likes to go out of joint, per se, when the knee is in valgus and varus stress. That's when it tends to dislocate a lot.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be his issue. I'm sure he's going to wear we call a J brace, which is a brace they put on that prevents or helps prevent at least the kneecap from dislocating. And so, they're taking it easy, and hopefully for him, he come back.
And for what it's worth, he hasn't been wearing a brace. And granted, that's because he's in non-contact drills, but no brace, walking around with no issue. 2 more quick ones from the National Football League before we get to Ronald Acuna, because I know you Braves fans out there definitely want to get to that. And, of course, you can send us your questions for Dr. Bari at 641-1010. If we don't get to them today, the boys will get to them on Breaking Bones. These are 2 teams, Doc, that the Jaguars will face in the first 3 weeks of the season. Let's start with Week 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. Old friend alert, Kadarius Toney. This one was a little mysterious. So the Chiefs began training camp before most teams because they start on Thursday night to begin the NFL season. At first, this knee injury was described as a tweak. Then it came out that he actually had surgery. I believe it was on July 30.
Just 2 days after.
Yeah, July 27th, he had meniscus. He had surgery on his knee stemming from the meniscus injury that he apparently suffered.
It was called a meniscus trim. Remember us talking about that one?
You're right. And so now the expectation is he will be back Week 1 for the Chiefs. That is different than Jalen Ramsey's meniscus injury.
Absolutely. So that's a meniscectomy. Ectomy means you remove, and then a meniscus repair. They've fixed, right? So meniscectomy is when you hear they got trimmed, they got cleaned up. Any of those terms means they just got that piece, the hangnail, I like to say, that was sticking around there. It just got trimmed back and removed, so it's not bothering the knee anymore. Very different surgeries, very different protocols, and very different outlook on coming back.
Another one, too. Sorry, Joe. Texans, right tackle, Titus Howard. He gets paid, and then he apparently breaks his hand. August 7th, he had surgery. So that was 2 days ago. Out 4 to 6 weeks. The Jags obviously face them Week 3 here in Duval County. So that will be the 24th.
They didn't say what bone it was or anything.
No, hand
just
injury.
A broken hand.
Yeah. I don't know what bone it was because there's metacarpals, carpals, right, and phalanges. Your haymate. And so, but 4 to 6 weeks, it's a little shorter than what the average population is, probably because they put bone stimulators on them. We always tell people around 8 weeks to kind of heal in. But as long as it's healed, he can go back to play. Yeah. And in theory, if it's healed, it's well aligned and it's not completely crushed and convoluted, that means a lot of pieces. He should be able to go back, full range of motion, strength. Now, he's going to be sore. Don't get me wrong. Whenever you break something, soreness lingers for a long time.
Right.
But hopefully it's not bad enough so where he can still do what he needs to do.
And for a lineman, he's got to have that punch and all that kind of stuff. And this is the second lineman that the Texans have that have had to deal with being hurt. All right, real quick, Ronald Acuna, you know how much the Braves fans love him. I showed you the video. He takes an inside fastball basically right on the elbow. Brave skipper said that he lost a little feeling in his arm, but the X-rays were negative. So that's huge news.
Yeah, he was wearing those pads like Barry Bonds, so you could stick your elbow out.
Yeah.
But so it got hit in the elbow. Luckily, it's not broken. You can still, tendons can still rip with an impact that big, right? You can just cause it to tear just from the impact. His arm was numb. Now, where he got hit, you have your PIN nerve, which is a part of the radial nerve, which actually gives you some, lifts your arm up, gives you a little bit of sensation. And so maybe that's part of the reason, because you have the sensory branch, the nerve that goes up there, that he had this numbness and couldn't feel. But if it's not broken and he heals well, and the MRI is negative of any tears, and he should come back just fine. He could have a bone contusion, which kind of can take a while occasionally to come back from. But as long as nothing's fractured, the biggest thing, then I think he'll be all right.
All right, so real quick before you leave, let's just say you were in Neptune Beach and you were at Publix and you bought the ticket. What would be the first thing that your wife would say to you?
I asked her this morning.
Yeah.
I said, I showed her the clip. I said, what if it was us? And it said Publix on Atlantic. And she goes, I want to know why you were at Publix on Atlantic to begin with.
There's a lot of Publix that are closer to the house.
Yeah,
what were
right,
you
so
doing up there?
Listen to this. This is great. As we say goodbye to you, it says, my brother-in-law, this is off the text line, because we asked if somebody knew the person who was going to cash this ticket. My brother-in-law, who we let live on our couch and RV for 6 months after his divorce,
sounds familiar.
works at that Publix. He goes, I told my wife she better call him. We need some compensation. And then he finishes, wasn't him. It wasn't him, unfortunately. All right, Gio, we will have Breaking Bones Sunday morning, 7:30. If you have any questions, you can hit us on the text line, and we'll try and hit them then. Thank you, as always.
Thank you, guys.
All right, he steps out, and then Sir steps back in. This is the way our brand-new YouTube 1010XL studio works. And he even was rocking the old headphones.
He had Leon's headphones, the ones that everyone's wondering why he's got these 90s headphones.
And they tag in, they tag out.
And it's because we're on YouTube, and you want to be able to watch this and see them live in person.
All right, big search real quick on Ben Barch. What do you think about that, holding up at the point of attack?
It's going to be difficult. Listen, at this particular moment, if I'm Ben Barch, I mean, you got to decide on you got to be cautious. I mean, because this could be career. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to be in a situation where you become depleted and you become expendable, and then now you're no longer useful in the league and because you're injury prone.
Right.
Because you don't want to get labeled that. You don't want to get labeled that in the league because then you can't find a job. So he's got to take every precautionary measure he can to make sure he's completely healed and that he can take on the point of attack. Because if I'm a defensive tackle, I'm gonna know where his injury was and I'm going to attack it. Mm-hmm. I mean, not attack the knee, but I'm a press him if it's his right knee. I'm gonna press him when I bull rush him. I'm gonna press him inside angle to see if he can sustain it. And if he can't, then the defense tackle's gonna have an unfair advantage against him, and then he's gonna be frustrated. And I don't know.
Yeah, and not getting to that second contract would be devastating for a player.
Yeah.
All right, Big. Thanks for the intel. We appreciate it, buddy.
All right.
We'll see you mañana.
All right, Leon.
He heads out. We keep going until 3 o'clock this afternoon. We got plenty more coming. We got to get back into the college football world.
We've got some lists that I want to look at. We want to look at Bill Barnwell's top 25, Bill Barnwell's NFL breakout players list, because you'll be pretty familiar with number one on that list of a player he expects to go from Pro Bowl to superstar. I also want to dive into our good friend Matt Hayes, sitting to my right's top 25 coaches in college football list that is live now at Saturday Down South, because there's some fun discourse off the top of that one, Matt.
Billy Napier's got to be on that
list. There always is. He's not. He's not on that list.
But where does Kirby rank? That is the question, Joe.
We will hit that coming up in the 2 o'clock hour on XL Primetime.
You're riding in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios. XL Primetime on 1010XL.
Oh, yes, we can. And yes, we will. Because we've got
1010XL.
Mia here, and my friends over at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned are doing it again. They are fighting inflation and saving you even more. I'm going to call it Arlington's Inflation Fighter Special, because now that pre-owned 2019 Toyota Corolla I was telling you about, it's not $1,000 down. Nope. Now it is just $500 down and $288 per month. Or you choose a pre-owned 2020 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma, not $1,000 down. I'm talking half of that, just $500 down and $388 per month. That's $500 down and $388 per month. But it doesn't stop there. Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned has over 400 used cars in stock, plus more than 100 vehicles under $18K. And you still get 30 days to love your pre-owned purchase or exchange it. Everybody agrees. Inflation, bad. But now we can also agree on this. The Inflation Fighter specials at Arlington Pre-Owned, oh so good. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Active and pain-free. That's the ticket. Dr. George Barry here, and I know that's the goal of every patient I see. They want the best possible care so they can go back to enjoying life. That could be pick up basketball, golf, tennis, running, or just working out. It all requires you to be as healthy as you can be. If joint pain is taking its toll on your active lifestyle, come see me at Barrier Orthopedics. We have locations all over Jacksonville and can diagnose and treat even the most severe joint pain. A homegrown Jacksonville practice. Find out more at barrierorthopedics.com.
Cataracts can take a toll on the quality of a loved one's life. Maybe it's even your parents or someone close to you. Hey, Hicken here. I've been talking to you about Bowden Eye. And it turns out renowned cataract care is right here at Bowden Eye & Associates. Their doctors help those with cataracts feel hopeful, sometimes for the first time in a long time. If someone you love is suffering from cataracts, schedule a visit for a personal consultation. 3 locations to serve you, including the new office on County Road 210 in St. Johns County.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
No dental insurance? No problem. Introducing the Care Plus program from the dental offices of Dr. James McCall. For only $625 per year, you will receive 2 cleanings and dental exams, a full set of x-rays, plus 1 emergency dental exam and x-ray. You'll also receive a 20% discount on all other services offered. Kids 12 and under will receive the same program for only $525. Call Dr. McCall today at 620-9225.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I always ask you about motorcycles, but Cycles right now features pontoon boats. Tell us about it.
It's an exciting time. We just got into it. We're carrying the Coach Pontoon lineup, overbuilt, lifetime structural warranty. Comes with a legendary Honda engine. These things are super fun. They are not your dad's pontoon boat.
That means they are tricked out, ready to roll.
The best sound system from Rockford Fosgate, Wet Sounds, they're in it.
Check out now the Coach Pontoon Boats at Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency.
Servicing every customer like they're famous. But what does that mean for you? It comes down to the famous philosophy. You'll find a consistency at all 20 locations in friendly service, honest pricing, and realistic time expectations. They know when you find someone you trust to maintain your vehicle, keep it running right, and lasting longer, you'll stick with them. And that's the famous philosophy at Famous Automotive in Quick Lube. Ask about a fleet account for your business.
Jason Isbull and the 400 unit. August 12th, the St. Augustine Amphitheater. With special guest, the Baseball Project. Jason Isbull and the 400 units. Buy tickets at the box office or Ticketmaster.com. Weather Vanes, out now.
Hi, this is Dave Barker with IHRS. If you're looking for a real solution to your thinning hair or hair loss, call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS.
What's causing your hair to fall out? Can your hair grow back? Get to the root of your problem with IHRS Hair and Scalp Analysis. This analysis magnifies your hair and scalp 400 times to see what procedures can restore your hair. Call right now for your free analysis, 904-777-IHRS, or visit hairforme.com. Stop wasting money on solutions that don't work. IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years. They are the only clinic to offer the trademarked multi-unit hair grafting PRP platelet-rich plasma and the NeoGraft FUE hair transplant procedure.
Schedule your free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 904-777-IHRS or visit hair4me.com. Hairforme.com.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. Conference realignment is a hot topic in the world of college football. What does Gators head coach Billy Napier think about all of it?
Yeah, it's unusual, I mean, it's just becoming more and more obvious, right, the revenue that's being generated in college football, right? I mean, this is all, a result of the financial implications of our game and how popular the game is, right? And so we're just it's a really unique time. The game's never been more popular. So, and the reality is our athletic departments are dependent on that.
Gators head coach Billy Napier on the ever-changing world of college football with realignment. 95 degrees at 2:07. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is XL Primetime. Brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
Love Matt in Baker County with a shout out to Cooper Hodges. Let's go, Coop. I said McClenny Strong on the text line. Designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
We had somebody chime in and say, is Glen St. Mary's really what Cooper claims home? Let's check that official Jaguar roster.
I think it is, actually.
Yeah.
Is Glen St. Mary's?
Is that Baker County?
That is Baker
County. Oh, that's
County.
Baker County. I'm
It
saying
is
which
Baker.
town. Very important.
So I should not be saying McClenny.
I think they're right next to each other.
They're right
Glen
next
St.
to
Mary
each
and
other.
McClenny.
But listen, we don't want to offend.
That's right.
We
That's how
don't-
those rivalries are, though.
We've gone
Well,
through,
high school is in Glen St. Mary.
We just went through Neptune, Atlantic, and Jacksonville Beach, remember? In PVB, and it's just all crazy. Listen, if you're from the AUG, these people that want to call themselves St. John's now instead of the SJC, what's up with that?
Glen St.
There are all these,
Mary's.
lines drawn in the sand.
Glen St. Mary's is his
It
hometown.
is Glen St. Mary's?
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Got
So,
everybody calling themselves St. Aug, too.
Yeah.
You can get west of the 95 and they call themselves St. Aug.
Actually,
I know.
true story.
Yeah.
Looking at potential real estate, sent a link to Silent Walt,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, I like this, but you can't move to St. Augustine. That's too far away. And I said, Dad, it's off 210. And he was like, oh.
yeah. They're calling
why
that
is
the
it?
AUG
Why
now.
is that St. Augustine? I was
You have to love the ads when they go just minutes from the beaches. yeah. You are right. You're correct there, but whatever. All right. Golf Club of Southampton is on 210.
Yeah.
Also
And-
considered St. Augustine.
Exactly.
That's the
And,
mailing address.
I tell D-Steph, that's Derek DeStefano, all the vowels except you. I said, you're not an AUG man. You're a 210 man. It's like we got Grant, the 210 painter. We got all those guys that are right there, the witch doctor and all of them.
It's not an AUG dog.
Yeah, they're holding down 210. I don't think they would even answer the AUG dog.
But their mailing
don't.
address says otherwise.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
And there was a time when there was only one zip code in the little log, and now there's like 17 of them. That's for sure. All right, let's get into a little NFL talk here, and then we'll get back into the college football talk. But you mentioned Bill Barnwell, and Bill Barnwell, I love this guy because he'll dive deep and he'll do the analytics and he'll do the forecasting and whatnot of what to look for. But this offseason for your Jaguars, for all of Duval, it has been about as positive as it has been, and I can't remember when. And this is another example. of
Ever,
that.
maybe.
Yeah.
Ever, maybe.
Well-
Because of the quarterback, it might be ever.
I don't think these tiers of breakout players Bill Barnwell has been putting together for years. I'm not sure a Jaguar has ever been listed first.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't believe so at all. Yeah,
that
you're
is
right.
that is the case this year, and I don't think. I mean, maybe you argue it's alphabetical order, but I would beg to disagree. Trevor Lawrence is the number one name in terms of going from a Pro Bowler to a superstar. He is joined in that tier by Penei Sewell and A.J. Terrell, who, of course, the Jaguars infamously passed on to draft C.J. Henderson.
He's a good player.
Yeah, good player. Good player. Here's what Barnwell says about Lawrence, and, of course, you can find this on ESPN.com. After detailing, of course, how for a year and a half, Lawrence struggled to live up to the expectations, an Urban Meyer-sized explanation for his rookie season, but he still struggled, especially at the beginning of last year. After the trip across the pond to lose to the Broncos, though, Lawrence morphed into a superstar. He completed 69.7% of his passes, averaged 7.4 yards per attempt, 15 touchdowns to 2 picks. From week 9 on, his adjusted completion percentage, 75.5%, ranked first in the NFL. Of course, his first postseason trip wasn't exactly smooth. He threw 5 interceptions in 2 games, but he did coax that dramatic comeback win out of the home wild card game. Mm-hmm. Now with wide receiver Calvin Ridley added to the mix and another full offseason away from the Meyer era, he has the ability to improve on the player we saw in the second half of 2022. Lawrence is currently 8th in the MVP odds at Caesars Sportsbook and seems capable of something special in year 3.
Well, he has shown in the second half of a season what it looks like now. He's done something that we haven't seen here, and with apologies to Mark Brunell, because you would describe Mark Brunell as the single most accomplished quarterback in this franchise's history. Maybe not stat-wise, but he's the single most accomplished because he was part of 2 championship game runs. So you have to give him that. He may not have the total.
You're not going to put Bortles in there?
Yeah, he may not have the season total touchdowns, season total yardage that Blake has.
Are you still glad, though, that Dave drafted Blake over Johnny Manziel in 2014?
Yeah. You figure at that time it was Blake, Manziel, Bridgewater, and Derek Carr. Those were the quarterbacks that were being talked about. And Blake had the size, and that's really why Dave Caldwell went for him, because he could move and he had size. But Mark Brunell's the most accomplished because he took him to 2 AFC championship games. And now you're looking at a guy that, again, with apologies to Mark Brunell, talent-wise looks like he stands head and shoulders above him. And so I do think that's what's got everybody fired up the second half of the season that we saw.
Yeah, I think it's that, and I also think it's the way it finished last year and the way they were they were a lot closer than people think in that Chiefs game. A lot closer. So, it's I think you've got a bunch of fans now that haven't felt this excited like this in a long time. I don't even think they were this excited going into 2018 either. So, I think it's because you have the franchise. You are set with your franchise.
He's
the reason.
All right. No, he's not the singular difference. He is the main reason. He's the main reason. Because coming out of 2017, they did the extension for Blake Bortles, and he played well in the postseason, but everyone knew that he wasn't that, all of that. Whereas we look at Trevor and they think he's all of that. And then you combo this up. You combo Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence. And compare
you add
that
Ridley
to
into
Blake.
the equation.
But you compare that to Blake and Doug Marrone.
They've also made some moves, and there's also the idea of Tyson Campbell's developing into an elite corner.
Mm-hmm.
Walker Little's developing into an elite player. You've got now dudes out there. You've got dudes on both sides of the ball now, at receiver. I was telling you guys this during camp today. I think Zay Jones is going to have a huge year. Huge year.
Yeah, I believe his yards per catch is just going to be way up there.
They've got guys now that other teams in the NFL would like to have.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas before, not so much.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. By the way, 32 days until the Jags kick it off for real. First guy you think of is Maurice Jones-Drew, naturally. Hit it there, Gibby. That's the first guy you think of.
Gerard from the shotgun. Misdirection. Set up the screen to Maurice Jones-Drew. Cuts it back to the center of the field. Still on his feet. Oh, my goodness. Maurice Jones-Drew.
And so that guy packs such a punch. And, look, we talked a little bit about Tank Bigsby. Who does he look like? What does he look like? He's low to the ground, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to put any MJD comparison on him, but, MJD was one tough mother. Okay,
I don't think you can compare MJD to Andy.
He was just one tough
mother. He was so good in college, too.
Yeah.
God almighty.
And the legs were massive. All the nicknames that he had.
That quick burst.
Yeah, and I always said he played with a chip on his shoulder as good as anybody. He would find a disrespect card to play every time. But it's worth noting, 32 days, there were only, at least according to Pro Football Reference, I only see 6 guys that have worn 32 in Jaguars history.
Wow.
I'm a little surprised for such a popular number. Like, I don't know how many 47s are on this team, but I would have thought there would have been more 32s.
How many times do you think MJD was laughed at when he first started playing football?
Probably, yeah.
Many
more than 32.
Times.
Yeah, because the number he chose was that 32 teams passed
on him. Right.
But I'm sure from Little League on, and what was the great story they did on Mother's Day? Mookie Betts when her
Right.
mom, was it his mom or grandmother?
It was his
whatever,
mom.
His mom, yeah. Took him out there, and they said, he's too scrawny, he can't play this and that. And his mom convinced him he was going to be a player.
Well, his mom started her own team.
And she started the team.
Yeah.
And so that part, you've got to have people that believe in you.
You know he was told by many coaches,
Yeah.
no, you're not playing running back. Come here.
You got to have
Come
people that
over
believe you
here.
because there's too many people that will second guess you.
Right.
So you got David Allen, you got Vaughn Dunbar going all the way back in time, Mike Logan going back in time. He's the one that Bill Cowher tried to take a swing at. Maurice Jones-Drew, Marlon McCree, who was pretty good. I think he was a Kentucky kid, right?
Yeah, good player.
And
Tyson
Campbell.
Tyson Campbell.
That's
yeah.
it. I am a little surprised by that.
Could be a really good player.
So I'm leaving.
What are they
camp-
going to do for the pride when they got to induct both guys? Or if they do induct Mojo while Tyson's still playing?
Yeah, that'd be cool. It really would be cool.
It's one of those
But-
half jerseys.
Exactly. As I'm leaving camp today, and I text James Little Man Stewart, and I said, timing's everything. It was 33 days yesterday. I'm leaving camp, and someone's wearing a 33 James Stewart jersey.
Ah,
So I had to take a picture
love
and send
that.
it to him. So 33 yesterday, 32 days until the Jags kick it off for real.
Some other names in this Bill Barnwell top players that could have breakout seasons in 2023. The next tier is starter to Pro Bowler. The names he has listed here: Garrett Wilson, Quinn Miners, the guard out in Denver, former D3 guy, right? D2. I know he wasn't a big name that a lot of people were talking about. Charles Cross, the tackle for the Seattle Seahawks. Jalen Phillips, Miami.
Really good player.
Jaquan Brisker up in Chicago, and Jalen Petrie in Houston, a name the Jaguars will see week 3.
All right. Well, that's honestly, I love the fact that they're up there. And Mia's right. I don't think there's ever been a player forecast number one.
You know who could be started a Pro Bowler, by the way?
Teal and black. Who did?
And I haven't been on him for a long time. Cam looks good out there.
Yeah.
Cam Robinson looks really good out there.
I
He's
do
a
believe,
big dude.
Yeah, and he's bigger than Walker, and I do
He's,
believe.
I mean, I don't know. You might have to play both he and Little.
Yeah, I do believe
And
that
then just
if it goes
Harrison
well,
goes to the bench.
Little's going inside and he's staying outside. I'm convinced I saw Cam Robinson more than once at left guard, but Rick Ballou and I were talking. He's like, I never saw it. And I'm like, I think I saw it. I might have George Costanza the whole thing and just saw what I saw.
You're moving Little to guard. I'm moving Little to right tackle.
No, I'm saying I was convinced I saw.
Yeah, no, I know. But you said you're
Yeah.
moving Little to
Oh,
guard.
yeah, that's what I'm
moving
doing.
Little to right tackle. I'm having you two tackles. You got to protect 16 at all costs. I'm going Cam and Little at tackle.
And you're going to
And
go
just
with,
Harrison's on the bench, man.
all right, that's actually worth discussing a little bit. We'll keep it going.
Shatley's your left guard, and you go. Shatley played well last year.
Yeah, but Shatley's got to. Jeff Lageman said it the other day. Don't expect to see him until the season starts, just to make sure that everything.
Yeah,
is,
I would agree with that.
Which, I mean, he's
100%.
32 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, does he really have to play in the
No,
preseason?
just make sure he's healthy. AFib, all
Totally
that stuff
agree.
is taken care of. All right, so we'll stay on that subject, but then also work our little college football topic back in that we were talking about earlier. Golf Club of Southampton Wednesday.
The First Coast Honda Dealer Studios on 1010XL. Ever wonder how Dan and Jeff got hired at 1010XL?
About a talk show host. I think I'd be good at that.
The Drill.
I talk to people all the time.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Someone even told me once they thought I'd be a good talk show host. Really? Yeah, a couple of people.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Mia here, and boy, do I have a story for you. Last weekend's gnarly storms flooded my entire yard and knocked out my AC. No way an air conditioning tech would come to my house on a Sunday, right? Wrong, because I called my friends at Duck Duck Rooter AC. Jeff and Heather had a highly skilled technician en route to my house within 2 hours. So be like me and contact Duck Duck Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning today at 904-862-6769. That's 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckac.com.
Picture walking through your home and feeling the natural elegance that only hardwood can provide. I'm Shane with Renew Solutions, and for replacing or refinishing wood floors, I've got you covered. Visit renewjacksfloors.com.
David Garrard here. Once again, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has eased my knee pain with PRP treatment. PRP is a platelet-rich plasma concentrate that promotes tissue repair naturally. If you are dealing with pain or an injury, ask your doctor, a Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, about PRP to determine if it's right for you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make.
I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Good people drink good beer, and great people drink Mocama, a refined craft brewery out of Fernandina Beach, Florida. Mocama Beer Company brings sophisticated flagship beers, including Cosmico IPA and Dune Garden Lager, to the greater Jacksonville area. Whether you're hitting the water with friends or enjoying a backyard barbecue, Mocama has the perfect beer for your summer activities. Look for us wherever great beers are sold and find your Mocama.
What's the weekend in sports look like? I'm Dan Hicken, and I'll give you my take on the Weekend with Dan. Find it on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan, brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
Beat the heat at Best Bet. We're paying out over $600,000 during the month of August with events like our $1,500 high hands. The action is on fire and there are tons of daily poker tournaments going on all month long. Come play the hottest games, including Ultimate Texas Hold'em, 3-card poker, 1-card poker, DJ Wild, and Pai Gow. Stay cool this month at Best Bet. For more information, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS right here in Jacksonville is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE neograft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS. IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Well, gang, you play all year for this. You go down to the Shark Tank all year for this. It's time to play for the ship. It's championship game Saturday night for your Jacksonville Sharks. At the VyStar Arena, kickoff at 7 o'clock, and tickets to get in start at just $20. Don't miss it. It's the game of the year as the Sharks go for a title. Call 904-621-0700 or go to jackssharks.com for more information. And we'll see you in the Shark Tank Saturday night.
The time to buy an emergency generator is before you need it, not when you're sitting in the dark. Storms happen in a hurry in Florida, so be prepared. Protect your family and property with American Electrical Contracting. Call them today, 737-7770.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Right up the middle, makes a nice cut. Deion Sanders to the 50. Deion Sanders to the 40. Deion Sanders hurdles to the 30, to the 20. Deion Sanders will score a seminal touchdown.
This is XL Primetime. Brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
A happy birthday to the head coach of the Colorado Buffs, Deion Sanders.
How old is he? Gibby said he's celebrating his birthday today, and I'm thinking to myself,
he's got to be 50,
somewhere around there. Would he have predicted he would be a head coach?
56.
Okay, 56. Would he have predicted he would be a head coach of a Power
Maybe
5
a Big
team?
12
if
program?
he wanted to, that's probably what he'd say. If I want to, I will.
True. He's one of those guys. You believe you can make it happen.
What a player, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
But despite all of his accolades on the football field as a player, does Deion Sanders crack Matt Hayes' top 25 coaches in college football on Saturday down south?
He does not.
No.
Not
He
yet.
does not. Not yet. Hey, I was 4 months ago. I wrote Auburn should have hired. 5 months ago, I wrote Auburn should have hired him. I mean, he'd have been a perfect guy for Auburn. A perfect guy for them. I think Hugh Freeze will do well there. But I mean, what Deion can do. We've seen what he can do at Colorado. The way players gravitate toward him, elite players. Imagine if he had that Auburn brand behind him, the Auburn NIL money behind him, and the idea of, okay, I'll go play for Auburn in the SEC. Hell yeah. He would have, that roster right now at Auburn would be much better than it is right now.
You do have some new faces in old faces in new places. I knew I'd mess that one up in this top 25, though, Matt, as you do have Matt Rule coming in at number 14 now with Nebraska after a brief foray into the NFL. You do have Luke Fickell, formerly of Cincinnati, now with Wisconsin at 12th overall. So no Deion, but those guys do make the top 15. Who were some other surprise names before we dive into that top 5, top 10?
Well, I don't. You say surprised. They're not surprised. I'm sure people would be surprised by Lance Leipold or Dave Clawson at Wake Forest. These guys are great coaches. The record may not show it, but if you put these guys, in an SEC or Big Ten school with everything they could possibly want, they'll be as high at that level as the other schools, the other coaches at those schools.
Right.
So these are like elite coaches that you don't really hear often about. Dave Aranda is another one. Dave Aranda is a terrific coach at Baylor. Second year at Baylor, second year as a head coach, he won the Big 12.
Yeah, a detail-oriented.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call him a savant, but you know what I'm saying. He's not maniacal. He's just very, very sharp and doesn't leave a detail out. He is a very good coach.
I'll tell you who. I have Kiffin at 16, and I know a lot of people are upset about that online. You should go read the comments. It's classic.
Yeah.
Anytime you do a list like this, especially the college coaching list, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And Hottie Toddy will come after you. And by the way, they might have already been in their cups when they came after you.
So Lane was literally like a handful of plays last year from winning 10 again. Think about that, back-to-back 10-win seasons at Ole Miss. He's quickly and quietly developing into a really good coach. Whereas before it was just he was this guy who could develop quarterbacks and who could call plays. He's become now a coach.
And I don't know why it seems like the forecasts are a little low for him or them win-wise this year, but he's learned how to he's learned how to use the run game more than he ever did before.
They led the Power 5 in rushing.
Yeah, they ran.
Were it not for the service academies, they'd have led college football in rushing.
Yeah, and a good defense too.
Yeah,
I think part of it, to answer your question, Joe, I think part of why people are maybe sleeping on Ole Miss is he has too many quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Can he pick one? Can he stick with one? Is that the right choice?
I thought Spencer Sanders would come in there and beat out Jackson Dart in a minute, and Jackson Dart apparently listened to
the levels of play, man.
Yeah, and he listened exactly. He listened to what Lane Kiffin said you need to do to keep this job, and apparently he's fighting off Sanders. So I think that's going to be good. They're going to play both of those guys, if not all three of those guys.
I don't know. I'm the more I hear from him, I think he's going to play Dart. I think Dart is his guy.
They like what they see.
He's talked about wanting to play one guy. Doesn't want to get it confused with two guys. I think they'll have a package for Austin Simmons to get him in the game. Be like 4 or 5 plays where he just comes in and does a little zone read stuff. Yeah,
they'll play 3 because I honestly think Spencer Sanders is a very, very good quarterback and should see some time there. I really do.
He was at Oklahoma State. He was very up and down. There's no doubt about
he's
that.
Spotty, but he's good.
When he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
But he's also when he's not on. You got some issues, man.
Yeah. Same thing with Dart though. Dart just could not. He couldn't throw a dart. For a while.
The last month of the season, he struggled a little bit, and I think he wore down because he ran the ball a lot, so he was getting hit. He was taking a lot of hits.
Like of all the great names for quarterbacks, Jackson Dart. Oh, he threw a dart.
I think he's going to play well this year. He's going to have a big season this year.
as Matt said, Billy Napier does not make this top 25, but his opponent, week 0, I guess, technically, does. Does he not, Matt? And one Kyle Whittingham.
I don't know how Kyle Whittingham doesn't make everybody's list every year. He's just an unbelievable coach. I mean, what he's done there is just it's rare what he's done there. And, I realized that Herb had the first unbeaten season there. He had an unbeaten season there, too. He lifted that program from the Mountain West into the Pac-12, and now in the last year of the Pac-12, they're dominating the Pac-12.
I used the line on Jimbo, he does less with more. Whittingham does more with less.
Absolutely.
It really
every year.
does seem that
Every year. 31 wins in the last 3 complete seasons. Back-to-back Pac-12 championships. Yeah, impressive. Very,
he
very
is
impressive.
inevitable. Real quick before we take our next time out. Actually, you know what? Let's take this time out.
Save it.
We're going to come back on the other side. We're going to break down 1 through 7 because Matt Hayes has Kirby Smart ranked ahead of Nick Saban. We discuss that and more coming up next on XL Primetime.
Buckle up. You're in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios with XL Primetime on 1010XL. Find your new Honda at your 8 local Honda dealers. She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
There is a sensitivity thing that some people have. I don't have it.
Lauren Brooks, afternoons with Frank Frangie and Hayes Carline.
Great. So we're all good? Everything good?
On 1010XL.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. The heat is here, and it may be time for a new cooling system. Fenwick Home Services makes it easy. Their comfort consultants come to your home and examine your home's unique needs. They recommend the best cooling system for you, your family, and your home. Plus, the installation can happen as soon as tomorrow. That's right, tomorrow. Plus, Fenwick offers flexible financing options and an industry-leading up to 12-year warranty. Book your next install at FenwickEasyBook.com. That's FenwickEasyBook.com.
Did you know the 2023 Honda CR-V Hybrid never needs to be plugged in? The onboard system charges the batteries for you. When you think Honda, think hybrid. Good for the environment, great for your budget. Visit your local Honda dealer to experience the CR-V of the future today.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Need to enhance your home's curb appeal? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Replacing with new stone pavers will transform your driveway into a stunning work of art. Say goodbye to unsightly concrete and hello to beautiful, durable pavers that last for years. Visit Stonecore today and let's beautify your home together. Stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Brackish Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the smoothest local vodka you can find. Made right here in Jacksonville, Florida, 100% from corn, Brackish Vodka is the local gluten-free choice. Brackish Vodka, for those that live life slightly salty, a proud partner of the Jaguars. Now you can enjoy Brackish Vodka at both Jack's Spice locations, in Jack's Beach and in St. John's. It's time to crank up the heat where the helmets meet.
Huddle up! Huddle up!
Every time something you need to know happens at training camp, you'll hear about it on 1010XL.
Let's go!
Brought to you by Kingfish Pest Control and Roland Leash Plumbing.
Are you an electrician looking for better pay and benefits? Miller Electric Company has the industry-leading compensation package. Electricians are eligible for a signing bonus up to $1,000. Now, they're partnering with the Jaguars on their new performance facility, the Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric has opportunities for you to work on some of the most exciting projects right here in Jacksonville. Whether you're experienced or not, visit MillerCareers.com, an equal opportunity employer. That's MillerCareers.com.
Got chronic joint pain but want to avoid steroids and surgery? Take some advice from pro football legend Emmitt Smith. Call QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life with biologic therapies that get your body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
These exciting new regenerative treatments from local medical professionals can help your body heal itself with lasting pain relief.
Trust me, you want to avoid surgery if you can. Check out these biologic treatments to see what your options are.
QC Kinetics. Restorative, regenerative solutions with no downtime, no surgery, no drugs.
I'm talking about joint pain we all can relate to in your knees, your shoulders, your hips, and your lower back. They'll get you feeling good again.
Get relief now.
What are you waiting on? Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Every championship season starts with training camp. From the practice field straight to you, nobody covers camp like 1010XL. Training camp coverage is brought to you by Roland Leash Plumbing and Kingfish Pest Control.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all. Selling or pawning, get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
This is Dr. Turner Vossler, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars running back Tank Bigsby has been turning heads at Jaguars training camp. Head coach Doug Peterson was asked this morning about the rookie third-round pick out of Auburn.
He's done a nice job, so far. There's still some learning to do and some growing to do as a rookie, but keeping him kind of where he is right now is a good thing, and expand maybe as you go. We're only 2 weeks in, of camp, and there's a lot of football ahead of us, so we're just gonna pump the brakes and make sure he's good with what he can handle.
Doug Peterson this morning, courtesy of Jaguars.com. The Jags kick off week 1 of the preseason on Saturday at Dallas. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
We got a lot of jobs that are going to be up for grabs and up for competition, and I'm very eager to see our guys compete for those spots.
This is XL Primetime. Brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
The text line brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures wants to know, is Gus Malzahn in that top 7 that we alluded to in Matt Hayes' top 25 head football coaches in college football? I am here to report he is not.
He runs the former national champion.
Sorry to Joe's Knights.
Team, exactly. Runs them. But Kirby right there, you do have him way up. And look, what Kirby's saying, it's like I don't want to pile on Billy Napier with body language or the way he sounds until I know enough about how he can coach on Saturdays. You know how I feel about that. But Kirby ignites a little fire just with his words. He really does. He has that way about him. And he is creating competition instead of contentment. And that's just how he's wired.
Right. Again, we don't know what it's like in that building with Billy. So we don't know that.
No, we don't.
But I'm with you. I think publicly it's okay to have a little fire too.
Like Bill Belichick is a stick of mud in a presser. Okay?
Right.
It's a hood and a stick of mud. But he has Lombardis floating all around.
Is there such a thing as a stick of mud?
Yeah. When he gets the question,
stick in the mud.
Yeah, who do
stick
you
in the mud.
Yeah.
All right, I was thinking stick of mud. What are you talking about?
It's just a hoodie and a stick in the mud, and I mean that's what he is.
Yeah,
and
very similar.
Yeah, what do you think about the quarterback? Oh, I think they're competing.
Kind of like Billy. Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
And so I want to, but the results are there. I want to see what Billy can do this year. We know how important that is.
So it's very difficult. And last year I had Kirby ranked number 1 and Nick ranked number 2.
So this is 2 years running.
And people couldn't believe it. I was the biggest idiot on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I look, Nick is the greatest college football coach ever, maybe the greatest coach ever. He's now, he's very close with Belly now as the greatest ever coach in the sport. So
I'm still going to separate those because of he was mediocre in the NFL.
Yeah, you could say that. But It's difficult what he's doing right now.
Oh yeah.
And the level of play that program has done year after year after year is not something that you see. So he's the greatest ever. All right. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah.
But I think at some point you have to start looking at a trend. And I don't know how you don't look at the trend of Kirby Smart and what he's done at Georgia and where it's headed and what he's done recruiting-wise. Think about this. So since they lost that game to Florida, okay? Since they lost a game to Florida, which is, what was that game? That was 2020. That was the game here in Jacksonville. They got crushed. 42 to whatever it was, 42 to 20.
Stetson just imploded.
They've won 33 of 34 games. 33 of 34 games, including 17 in a row. The only game they lost was the championship game
and then they
to
came
Alabama,
back.
the SEC championship game.
Yeah, call it the conference championship
Came back
game.
and won the national title.
Exactly.
They've won 33 of 34, playing in the toughest league in college football. 17 in a row.
Yeah.
It's hard to see that.
Yeah.
It's so Alabama. So okay, Alabama same time 30-4, one national title, 2 SEC titles.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia 33-1, 2 national titles, 1 SEC. Obviously, it's close. Obviously, the national titles push them over the top, but it's also more than that. It's the recruiting, it's the developing, it's the players now in the NFL with Kirby. It's the fact that Kirby has taken Nick's old plan of play the best defense in college football, run the ball, don't turn the ball over from your quarterback, get a game manager, and win it all.
Mm-hmm.
And doing it better than Nick has done it, or Nick did it with the early years.
Right.
Nick changed later to let's throw it all over the park, let's try and play the best defense we can, and we'll just out-talent people.
All right, we got to get ready for the Fran show, but this is going to be a good conversation going forward because I can't help but think of the times when Nick was winning it or in it to win it every year when he was kind of in his heyday.
He's still in it to win it every year.
Right. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When the state of Alabama was holding five, was it 5 rings or play? Yeah, I think it was 5. Anyway, that we're going to see if Kirby can keep it going, I guess, is really going to be the fun watch. All right, so we got to get ready for the Frangie show. We'll do that coming up.
Cruising with XL Primetime in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios on 1010XL. Soaking in summer on the First Coast.
Summertime.
1010XL.
The Internal Revenue Service is reported to be receiving $80 billion in additional funding for the 2022 tax year for unpaid tax enforcement. There has never been a budget increase this large in the history of the IRS. All of this funding is for more revenue officers and collecting delinquent taxes. If you owe the IRS, you have a short time to get your tax issues resolved or face financial devastation. J. David Tax Law is right here in Jacksonville and provides tax relief for all personal, payroll, and sales tax problems. They've achieved thousands of successful outcomes for their clients, and that's why their reputation speaks for itself. If you have federal or state sales tax debt, do your research to see why J. David Tax Law is the most effective option to relieve your tax burden. Call J. David Tax Law at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777 or at jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Josie for the Jacksonville Eye Center. And if you're thinking about LASIK and finally seeing 20/20 without glasses or contacts, now's the time to do it. Jack's Eye Center and Dr. Robert Snipper, experts in eye care with the latest technology. Dr. Snipper uses the Allegretto Wave and blade-free interlace technology. And with it, Dr. Snipper has earned a prestigious reputation for his success in LASIK. You need to call 355-5555 right now and make an appointment to see Dr. Snipper or log on to drsnipper.com.
Key Buick GMC. Save up to $6,000 on new Buicks and no payments until 2024. That's no payments until next year. Combine big savings with low APR to fit any budget, like 4.84% APR for up to 72 months. Remember, whenever you purchase a brand new Buick or GMC from Key, it comes with the lifetime powertrain warranty. We are professional grade. Stop in today and ask for Derek or Brian. Key Buick GMC on the corner of South Side and Gate, or go to keybuickgmc.com.
Toilet or shower not draining? Water bill high? So many issues you want to cry? Call Mr. Rooter of Jacksonville. Have your number 2 business serviced by your number 1 plumber. Let us do your dirty work. Call us today.
Mr. Rooter, Mr. Rooter.
We've been telling you for almost a year about Nathan's Family Chiropractic and the 100-Year Lifestyle Network. If chronic back or joint pain is keeping you down, don't listen to me. Listen to what Jacksonville is saying about Dr. Alan Nathans.
The stem cell treatment took the pain away.
Changed my life. It's awesome.
Your body just works better when it's aligned. We're believers.
His no-needle regenerative protocols are giving people their lives back. Get yours back, too. Go to the pro in the know. Don't do another cortisone injection. He's one of us helping all of us for the past 25 years. For more info, drnathans.com.
I'm Hacker, and I'll get you ready for Billy Napier's second season on the Florida sideline during the Gator Bites podcast, presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, with new episodes dropping every Wednesday. Get Gator Bites where you find podcasts.
This is Hayes Carline for Island Wing Company, located on Southside near Tinseltown, and our new location at Bartram Park in St. Johns County. Two great locations offering the ultimate sports bar experience where you can stick to healthy options. Island Wing Company has a wide selection of fryer-free food. The wings are baked, not fried, with so many awesome flavors to choose from. You can also get delicious salmon, tuna, flatbreads, and tacos. With tons of spectacular TVs, dog-friendly patios, and 2 daily happy hours, Island Wings can't be beat.
Keeping your body healthy and active leads to a more vibrant life. A great place to do that is the First Coast YMCA. The Y is equipped with state-of-the-art cardio and strength equipment, plus group exercise studios where trainers host activities like yoga, Zumba, and cycling sessions. The full-court basketball gym and indoor 5-lane swimming pool are open year-round. The Kid Zone can keep an eye on your kids while you work on that dad bod. And it's all available with your family membership. Learn more at fcymca.org.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE, the medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most advanced treatments to eliminate ED and PE. 98% of men experience instant results on their first office visit. They're even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Don't just take our word for it. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now for our limited time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
The Edwin Watts Golf Hour will meet you at the green.
Blue skies, fresh cut grass, birds chirping.
The Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
Grip it and rip it.
Get tips, tour notes, and the latest gear Saturday mornings at 10 on 1010XL.
If you're a Jaguars fan who's always on the move, we've got the perfect ticket for you with our Bundle at the Bank. You can purchase tickets to 3 or more games, starting at just $58 per game. Whether you're working around a work schedule or excited to share the hometown team with out-of-town family, you get the flexibility you want for your time at Everbank this fall. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000 to get your Bundle at the Bank.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Tire Outlet, keeping 1010XL rolling with wholesale prices and premium service. Tire Outlet, Jacksonville's largest locally owned automotive repair shop.
Island Wing right there on Southside Boulevard. That is where the Frangie Show is holed up. Hayes Carline, the embedded and shredded, joins us now. What is up, Hayes?
What is going up? We have a historic Frangie Show today, Joe.
Ooh.
Historic Frangie Show, because we are streaming from Island Wing Company from the first time in our existence. We couldn't be more fired up. And
all right, so paint a picture. If they log on to YouTube, what the setup is, you'll be able to see where you guys actually hang out.
That's correct. We have switched locations because we're quite savvy that way. We sent a team out earlier, production team, kind of scout the scene, and so we have moved. We are now towards the back of the restaurant more than the front, but still, you know how it is here. There's tons of patios. And actually, you could come through the way that the side of the building that we're on. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to it. Love being out here at Island Wing Company. And, yeah, we've got a lot to get into on the Frangie Show, tons of Jag stuff. We'll have an interview with Calvin Ridley that should be fun. Hopefully fans will enjoy that. And, yeah, talk some Gators, conference realignment, the whole 9 yards.
And when you think of, like, practice today, an observation or two that you might have had, but when you talk to Calvin or when you see him, I just think every single day you get a little more excited, I do, about seeing this guy in real situations play in teal.
Absolutely. And Calvin is sensing that from, in talking to him, he's like, I've kind of come to the realization that this might be the best team I've ever been on by a good bit.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, he is really excited about the camp that the offense is having, that Trevor's having. He certainly feels like he's fitting in. And one thing that I thought was interesting is we talk about the familiarity with the offense. Christian Kirk in year 2, Zay Jones in year 2, Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, Trevor Lawrence all in year 2 together. But Calvin is sort of the new guy, and he had to acclimate. He had to get to their level in terms of knowledge. And Doug Peterson said earlier this morning that he's really done an outstanding job of that Calvin Ridley knows this backwards and forwards, and it's showing. He has played fast from day one. And, yeah, I can't wait to see what he can do in the regular season opener. And he is a popular player, I can tell you that. We even, during the interview, had an adorable moment. A sweet little Jags fan came over, wanted Calvin's autograph while we were talking. So we kind of stopped the interview, and Calvin did his thing, signed an autograph, took a picture. Very nice. He was he's been Mr. Popular out there at Jaguars training camp for sure, and for good reason.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I would like to take everyone behind the scenes. I just ran out into the media room, multimedia department room here at 1010, and I was like, hey, may have to skip the handoff. Got to make sure the iPad gets to Island Wings, get it set up for them. And Taylor Dahl looks at me and he's like, Hayes already took it, and I showed him how to do it. He's got it. It's all great. So let's just give a round of applause for Carlion because
thank you so much.
He does it all. When we say he does it all, we are not kidding. There it is.
I've got the best teachers on the planet. Taylor Dahl was very nice and showed me how to do this, and then I went through it with her watching, and she was a fabulous teacher. So yeah, we're up and running, and hopefully people will enjoy it.
All right, beautiful, dude. We will be listening. We appreciate it. Calvin Ridley, part of the Frangie Show, coming up a little bit later on. Head on over to Island Wings and say hello to Hayes, Frank, and Lauren. Thanks,
Southside.
Thanks so much.
Yes, Southside Boulevard. Southside is, if you're rolling and you're in the traffic, you're like, where should I just post up for a while and let that traffic go? Yeah, that would be a good place. All right, we are done. The Golf Club of Southampton is where I'll be posting up later on, the 9 after 5. I got one guy coming out who's I consider him a good ball striker, terrible putter. And so they punched, and he's like, they punched. I'm like, it will not matter to you at all. You can't putt worth a lick, okay? So just don't even worry about it. But they punched to make sure that the greens and everything comes through beautifully. Right. So 287 play, make sure you get on out there tonight, or once everything comes in, you will absolutely love it. We are out. You can keep an eye on everything by hitting the stream with everything that's coming out as far as our social channels go. Joe C., me, O'Brien, Matty Hayes, Big Sirs, and Agent Gibbs holding it down.
Huge, nasty cash.
You're riding in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios. XL Primetime on 1010XL. This is
1010XL.
We are
Sports Radio Jacksonville.
Hey Jacksonville, this is 17-time PGA Tour winner Jim Furyk inviting you to join me and the legends of the PGA Tour for the 3rd annual Constellation Furyk and Friends presented by Circle K, October 2 through 8 at Timaquana Country Club. Public parking is free, along with complimentary tournament access for our military, courtesy of ViStar Credit Union. Go to Ticketmaster to get your tickets today, and if you're not traveling to London, but watch the Jags this fall, join us Sunday morning in the Publix Tailgate Village to catch the game on the big screen. For more information, visit ConstellationFurykandFriends.com.
Your AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC.